Angeles. The Colts open the preseason in Buffalo as they take on the Bills. Coverage next Saturday at 1 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
What in the hell do you think you're doing?
Hey, John Boy.
I'm telling you straight, it's my way or the highway. So anybody wants to walk, do it now.
Hey, everybody, we're all gonna get laid.
And again, it's picked off. It's Darius Leonard, a pick six for the Maniac. Touchdown, I-N-D-Y. Yes, sir.
Oh, the Dickens! Double time!
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, I'm assuming if you dig on baseball, you're probably liking what's going down today. Just unfortunately, most of the fan bases around here, other than the Cardinals fan base, those few Cardinal fans that are around here probably are a little upset the fact that they didn't end up getting what they wanted, what they thought they were going to get in Soto from the Nats. So he goes to the Padres, but everybody else around here stinks. That's the problem. Stinks. Everybody's unloading. There is no reloading on the fly for the sake of trying to win something. There is unloading because your team sucks. That's too bad. But there has been a flurry, to say the least, of deals. Can you imagine if something like this happened a day like today, as far as the NFL would be concerned? We'd be absolutely going crazy right now. Then it's with baseball, and you're just kind of around here ho-hum. Oh. Yeah, that's a long wait right there, Sammy. That's a long wait, brother. Let me tell you. Long wait. Sam's in here for Kyle. Thank Sam for being in here. Kyle and his lovely wife Morgan are dealing with some family stuff. All at least in their immediate family is good, but certainly we're thinking about them. Awesome that Kyle, what he does every day is much appreciated, and thinking about both Kyle and Morgan today, no doubt about that. Loaded show for you. Greg Rakestraw is going to be here at the bottom of the hour. We'll get into a lot of different things. As you well know, Greg will be a part of the preseason television broadcast once again this year of Colts football, along with Rick Venturi and Lara Overton. Greg is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. Colts out at practice in pads today. A lot had been talked about regarding not a crisp afternoon. I'll be completely honest with you. I just kind of read what people are talking about. I don't know how much you can actually gather that will translate ultimately to the real field of play. But they were padded up, and they were situationally playing. They were doing a lot of work in the red zone, and most out there suggested it's either one or two things, I guess, and I guess it's whatever side you're leaning on or what you're most comfortable in as to what's good and what's not. But it was the defense having the upper hand today, and the offense was running gassers at the end. So the offense was running gassers, and the defense had the upper hand. So I don't know how to view that. Like, I'm big on the defense, you know that. I'm big, and I can't wait to see the defense play this year because I like a lot of the additions they made, starting with Gus Bradley. But then again, it's never good when your offense is not crisp in a practice setting like that because everything is working for them, you would think. So I just read what people were talking about and then base my own opinion on that, and here we go. I think Zak Keefer is going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour to discuss a little bit of that as well. Some people had asked me earlier today, and, you know, sometimes you get conversations going on social media, and if you're like me, I would rather wait and leave it for the show than put it out there in social media because you guys care the most. You guys listen the most. You guys are here. We run ads here. We want to bring you here. So I try to leave the good stuff for the show and not just kind of unveil that via social media. I do a great deal of jacking around in a good way, not a gross way, but a good way in social media. And I try to leave the really good stuff because I want you not to be completely worn out on it before I start. And that's hard because I got 3 shows in front of me. And it's hard not to wear you out on all the material by the time I get on here. It really is. And it's not like I take a different perspective just for the sake of taking a different perspective. I come at you, as you well know, from a very informed opinion. And I always have and I always will. Well, wait a minute. You didn't play football. You didn't coach. How would you know? I have a very Colts-informed opinion. And if you follow this show for a number of years, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you believe it. And if you don't, you probably didn't like me in the first place, but at least you're still listening, so that's good for all of us. Anyway, some people had asked me this morning, and I didn't really go into it. People had asked me, I was watching Blake run cross-country, which is scintillating, by the way, at Ron Conley this morning at about 8:30, and people were asking, all right, so if this thing doesn't go as planned, and what is as planned would be the Colts winning the AFC South. I mean, that's an absolute have to. Yeah, I often bring up something that a lot of our younger listeners have no idea what I'm talking about. That is the Brady Bunch exact rules for Greg Brady back in the day. Only us old, crusty fossils know exactly what I'm talking about, but they were exact rules. Not often do you find exact rules, but they're tough to live by, as Greg learned as a teenager back in 1973. But exact rules do, at least winning this division, it's a must. Now, people ask me this. You talk about the exact rules all the time. How does that dictate what may or ultimately may not happen as far as the Colts are concerned if they don't reach their level of expectation, which is winning the division? And I can tell you this. And you can bring up who's on the hot seat. Is Frank on the hot seat? Frank is not on the hot seat right now. The Colts would have to play their way to putting their head coach on the hot seat. Or he'd have to coach his way to the hot seat. That makes sense to you. Meaning that everything is fine right now. Everything is fine. What is it, Defcon 5?
That's the worst one, yeah.
That's the worst one or the best one?
I thought DEFCON 5 was the worst.
Sometimes I forget. I watch War Games every single night. How do I mess this up? We're at DEFCON chill right now. I'll give you it in terms of my terms here. DEFCON chill, Sam.
All right, I was incorrect.
You were back. Yeah, so
DEFCON 5 is actually
so we're
you're
5.
Fine.
See,
yes.
I told you, I watch War Games. I know my stuff.
I think I just hear the word DEFCON and I freak out because if you even have to bring up DEFCON.
No, yeah, everything's all good. Everything's all good right now. Everybody is upbeat. Everybody is excited. I mean, even if your offense didn't have a great day, your defense did have a great day. So, hallelujah, everything is fantastic. And oh, by the way, you get Parris Campbell, who is staying healthy. And if you look around at a couple of different places in the NFL at these camps, Denver today, they're working in a new quarterback there, an old quarterback, but a new quarterback for the Broncos and Russell Wilson. What happened with Ryan Jensen and the Buccaneers last week? We're talking essential pieces to teams, and you see them, go down for a season for an extended period of time. That is the absolute last thing that you want. That's the absolute worst. You can talk about how the offense was disjointed or the defense was overpowering or even vice versa. Just as long as everybody comes away healthy. I know Dennis Kelly's dealing with some things to back up offensive linemen right now, which we'll get into a little bit later on. But as long as your mainstays remain healthy, that is what matters. But for those of you asking me this morning what has to happen, Frank Reich, his team has to play their way to put him on a bubble. Now, he's not on a bubble right now. But the team has to play their way or play him onto that bubble. And you have a great example. A great example was a year ago. There was never uncertainty, but they played their way into getting both he and Chris Ballard's ass chewed out by Jim Irsay. They could not get off the plane fast enough. And you can say what you want about Jim Irsay, and Jim Irsay cares about, the Jim Irsay collection, which is, by the way, in Chicago later on tonight on Navy Pier. You can talk about all that, but the dude loves his football team and does not want to be embarrassed by it. He was embarrassed by it, especially in that Jacksonville game. So his team played he and the general manager into a significant ass chewing. This team would also have to play their way with something like that to put him on a bubble, because right now he isn't. You can go over lists of, top 5, top 10, whatever, because you get these. Pro Football Focus will put one out. ESPN.com will put one out. Everybody that writes regarding the NFL will tell you, hey, I really don't like to talk about this subject because, it's talking about somebody losing a job, but here are the top 5 coaches, top 10 coaches, ranking 1 through 10 that are on the hot seat. I wouldn't consider Frank Reich there right now. This team could very well play his way onto it, especially with an act as if you weren't paying attention at the end of last year. You already know that. So it's a situation like that. A situation like that would play a role as to why there would be thought. Right now, there is zero thought. If you get another angry, embarrassed owner at the end of the year, like last year, if you go back-to-back like that, or if you fail miserably regarding reaching expectations in what is an incredibly winnable division, even with the question marks you're thinking about with this Colts team. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of hopes going on. But the one thing that you look at, whether or not you believe in Ryan Tannehill, whether or not you think Mike Vrabel is one of the best coaches in the NFL, or your belief in Doug Peterson, over Urban Meyer and that clown show of a year ago in Jacksonville, or just the never-ending saga of treadmill that's going on in Houston. Make no mistake, this should be, absolutely has to be a winnable division for the Colts. And that is the beginning of the expectation, which would get them a home playoff game, which is a part of the expectation. If those expectations aren't met, that will be evaluated. I'm not quite sure. To me, those are the two things: not meeting the expectations of winning the division, or just embarrassing down the stretch like was a year ago. That's when the coach is on the bubble. And the coach would be on the bubble and the general manager wouldn't. But hopefully that answers your question from earlier today. I know oftentimes you want me to just go ahead and tweet this stuff out, but I've got to save some of this stuff for the show. If that's all right with you. Here's something else that was sent to me today. And you know me, I give credit where credit is due. I don't like make up a bunch of crap. Hey, I told you the other day, hoping that you didn't either hear or you just didn't remember where you heard it in the first place. I will tell you, if I was in on it, I would tell you who was in on it. In this case, I don't really know who it is, and it's not me trying to be a jerk. I just don't know who it is. The only reason I know it is because Steve in San Antonio, Texas, sent me this a little bit earlier. And apparently this came from at the Blue Stable. It's the fan-sided network. The king of Colts. And I'm not making light of it because I told you this before. Anybody can have a little bit of juice informationally. I mean, anybody can. Who knows? Who knows how you... And we should have learned that over the course of the Andrew Luck career here. Because you had Uber drivers breaking more news than anybody else, including myself around here. Or teammates and Uber drivers, and get a little bit loose and that onto the town and saying something maybe they shouldn't, and it works its way back because my former producer here, Tony Donahue, was Ubering all over Broad Ripple or all over Fountain Square or all over Mass Ave. I know this to be true. That's exactly how he got the whole snowboarding thing that everybody is still talking about today. So I don't discredit anybody, and I don't mind. I've said this before, too. Like I do my own thing here, and I always will do my own thing. And obviously, I like working via social media as well. But you have a lot of Colts content out there. And unless those that are around that Colts content are practicing significant jackassery, maybe one or two might do that, then I'm not a fan. But most of the time, good. I mean, yeah, just keep working. If you like it, do it. If you love it, do it. Hopefully your content will be digested by the folks. And then more so than anything else, hopefully your content will be trusted by the folks, which I think that long ago we kind of met in the middle on that. You trust me. I trust you with the information. I give you information when I get it. Sometimes I withhold it if I'm somewhat questionable about it, but I'll always give other folks credit. Because there are a lot of people out there working hard in Colts content that don't necessarily have, the means of a radio show. But I did see this, and this came from Steve in San Antonio, Texas, from the King of Colts. And again, the King of Colts is a fan-sided website. It said in this tweet, I just got a text from a reliable source saying OBJ, and if you've lived under a rock for the last 6 years, that's Odell Beckham Jr. OBJ to the Colts are heating up. I'm working to confirm how much validity it is or as to what I should say. Stay tuned for more. Now, I can flat tell you, I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't heard anything about that name specifically. But what I had told you, this is going back weeks. This is going back to even last week with the whole Julio Jones thing, remember? Chris Ballard suggesting, no, you know what, those reports are untrue. Well, I never said anything about discussions. I just said looking at it. That part was true. You know who confirmed it? Julio Jones. He knew. He said it last week. But the only thing I said, and getting, I guess in this case, non-specific, is they at some point are going to take a swing at a veteran wide receiver. Would it surprise me if it's Odell Beckham Jr.? It would, and here's why, because I don't think he's going to be available until November. Is it November at the earliest?
November at the earliest. Best expectation is November, not a guarantee.
That's a long way off. And think about it in these terms. If you're needing, once again, as we've seen in the past, a wide receiving lifeline in October, he's not going to be your guy. Now, if he's somebody that you can add late just to see if he can help you out, then so be it. It seems like that the Colts would realize what they have and either really like what they have or kind of freak out over what they don't have by that point in time. I don't know if, and again, this is not me. I just know that a veteran wide receiver at some point, as I've told you, that's my expectation. And my expectation hasn't been T.Y. Hilton. But I have heard zero about Odell Beckham Jr. And I don't know if that timetable makes sense unless you would view that. You would view that as a cherry on top of, wow, this team is like, if they could just add something else to this offense. If this is an ultra-dynamic offense and everybody's excited and this guy wants to play with a winner and he is back and he is healthy, that would make sense to me. I don't know if this makes sense to me right now, but I'm not going to try to discredit anybody else because, as I've mentioned, sometimes people that aren't around it every day aren't even around here every day. End up getting solid information. So I won't discredit it. That part would surprise me. I just haven't heard that name. Veteran wide receiver, yes. And, going back to the Julio Jones thing, Who knows? Maybe it doesn't work out. Would he end up getting $8 million for a year? I can't imagine that the Colts probably would want to have paid that. They certainly didn't have discussions. But as far as eyeballing, looking, that part was true. I don't know if that would equate to overall interest, but I think it does equate to what we like to, at least in the NFL, I use all the time. You got to do your due diligence. Seems like right now, with what you know right now and the timetable for Odell Beckham Jr., I don't know if at all that lines up to me. But at some point, I think the Colts, as I've told you, will get serious about a veteran wide receiver. Hey, hopefully they don't. Hopefully they are absolutely right about what they have right now. You know, people ask me all the time, what about TY Hilton? Why doesn't that make sense to you? You got paid $8 million a year ago. What will they want to pay him this year? Will he want to come back for what they want to pay him? What would be their visual on a price tag? Do they feel as if they need to jump out there and grab something right now? So it didn't make a great deal of sense. I know a lot of people had mentioned, well, if you remember, because they're going with this quick rhythm offense now with Matt Ryan, and it wasn't like it was a year ago when Ty had a down year. Maybe it could be more like when Ty 2 years ago, what did he catch? 60-plus balls, 700-plus yards? Well, with that thought process in mind, you could have brought back Zach Pascal because he had close to those types of numbers, and Zach could also go play if you wanted him to play special teams. But you let him go to Philadelphia and Nick Sirianni. I mean, Ty had better numbers, but not stratospherically better numbers. So I don't know if those two things equate to one another, if that makes sense to you. And it's much like this Odell Beckham Jr. thing. The timing, maybe they do at some point have interest, but it just wouldn't seem like it would be right now. Especially with a guy that is not supposed to be back until November at the earliest. That seems like, hey, this offense is humming. Can you add one thing to it? One thing to make it even more dynamic? And I know what you're saying. Well, Odell Beckham Jr. is not that dynamic. It depends on who you're talking to. And you got to keep in mind, we have seen nothing yet. It also depends on what we have seen. That is what we're going to base our judgment on regarding this. But again, I'll never discredit anybody, and I mean anybody, not just those that create Colts content via podcast or, blog or whatever, but I mean anybody. Anybody. Because there's a lot of conversation that goes on, and there's a lot of stuff. I look back at this over the years. You know how much really good information I've just missed over the years and has cost me? Like, I look back at that Brad Stevens thing from Butler to the Celtics. You talk about somebody wanting to kick his own ass. That's me. Tony was over on the other side begging me, yeah, go with it, man. I'm leaving on vacation here in an hour and a half. I don't want to spend a week in Florida having everybody make fun of me on social media because I got catfish with this story. 10 minutes later, boom, there goes Brad Stevens to Boston. Oh. So there is a lot of information floating around. And sometimes that information hits here locally with just random folks before it even hits nationally. Or in this case, before, in terms of the NFL information, before the agents tell Adam Schefter. And then 35 seconds after they tell Adam Schefter, apparently text Ian Rappaport, who is about 35 seconds later than Schefter most of the time. You see how that works? You see how that engine is running? So I have, to answer your questions, not heard anything, but there is no doubt the veteran wide receiver is still in play. The timeline is just a little bit weird, I think, in this case. But we shall see. Hey, JMV, timing for OBJ might be good now so their medical staff can work with him on finishing his rehab. Like I said, I heard nothing about him. But as far as a veteran wide receiver is concerned, expect that. Bobby Jefferson says, screw this wide receiver crap, JMV. Can I still drop off supplies for you for teachers' treasures? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know how I feel about practice today. Like, I'm all excited. I am all excited about the defense. But rarely is it good when the defense, when you say that, well, the defense is really playing well in the red zone, and then the offense has to run gassers. It made no mistake, the defense is great, and, defense wins championships and all that. I mean, come on, we know you got to score just a crap ton of points, right? That's what we're talking about. Yeah, crap ton of points. You want your offense, especially in those conditions, to be working at a high level. Now, we'll talk to Zak Keefer about that day. Zach from The Athletic up at Grand Park in Noblesville a little bit later on in the show. Greg Rakestraw is going to join us as well coming up at the bottom of the hour. Sam is in today for Kyle Udemark. I'll be completely honest with you. I used to not dig the Gyllenhaal brother and sister actor and actresses, but I think I kind of dig them both right now, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but if Hollywood, because they have completely run out of, especially, your mainstream type of film, they've completely run out of ideas. It's like Reboot City. If you're going to reboot Roadhouse and put Jake Gyllenhaal in there, I think I'd be down with the program. Because I think, Jake Gyllenhaal I can get with. I used to not like Maggie Gyllenhaal at all, and I kind of go, you know what? She's not bad. Maybe I've grown up a little bit. If you're going to reboot Roadhouse and utilize Jake Gyllenhaal, Tim, I think I am down with that program officially. It certainly cannot be any worse than what was the awful, the mostly not remembered sequel to Roadhouse. And I believe the actor in that, Jonathan Sheck played the lead singer Jimmy in That Thing That You Do, that guy. Yeah, when he played the cooler, that wasn't cool at all. I think I can get down with Jake Gyllenhaal doing this, though. It's official. Roadhouse is getting remade with Jake Gyllenhaal in the lead role. On Tuesday, Amazon Studios announced that the long gestating, I've got to work on my vocabulary. I don't think I've ever seen those two words put together. Remake, if finally moving forward with Gyllenhaal, starring as Dalton, the role originally played by the late, great Patrick Swayze. Other confirmed cast members include Billy Magnuson. I have no idea who that is. Daniela Melchior. I have no idea who that is. And then somebody's name I'm not going to attempt to pronounce. And Lucas Gage from that show that I watched on HBO called Euphoria. What was I doing watching Euphoria, Sam? I was way too old to do that.
I am unaware of what Euphoria is.
What was I watching that about? It was a bunch of high school kids running around. And it was ridiculous. But I do like, what's her name, Zendaya?
Zendaya, yeah.
I like Zendaya. Zendaya is talented. I do like it. I have no idea. I had to be the oldest person watching that back in January. What was I doing watching it? I don't know. Corey says Maggie Gyllenhaal was great in The Dark Knight. I've not seen any of that comic book stuff. That's the problem. I can't remember the last time I saw anything comic book-wise. Ever. When Bill Bixby And Lou Ferrigno played the Incredible Hulk. Maybe I go back that far. All right. Anyway, that's where we are today. We got Rakestraw coming up here in just a little bit. Zak Keefer of The Athletic coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. I haven't heard anything regarding Odell Beckham Jr., but a veteran wide receiver I do buy in at some point. Yeah, the offense not so much today, but the defense played well. And answering your what would have to put the coach or the general manager on the bubble this year scenarios, I gave you exactly what it would take. 239-1070. Email address is JMV at 1070thefan.com. Shows on Twitter at JMV 1070 inside the lounge. Via YouTube Live. Shout out to everybody there. You got us the stream, the app, HD Radio, and 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You forget something?
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to be able to pick up Braden tonight after practice.
Oh, did something come up at work?
Nah, not even going to make it in today.
Why? What's going on?
Well, I'm coming up on some construction in about a quarter mile. I've already started ignoring the signs. In a minute, I'll force my way through traffic while texting. I'll pull the wheel a little too far and drive right through the barrels where I'm going to hit a few workers. One of them is going to get killed, so then I'm going to be arrested and charged with vehicular manslaughter.
No one plans on having an accident, but you can plan to avoid one. Read the signs. Slow down. Stay alert.
This is Joe Bulk, business manager of Labor's Local 204. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down. Save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Indiana's District Council of Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
America's leading internet provider just got even faster. Switch to Spectrum Internet, and you now get starting speeds of up to 300 megabits per second. Faster speeds for streaming, faster speeds for gaming, faster speeds for working or learning, all with 99.9% network reliability. So no matter what you do online, you can do it better, safer, and now even faster with Spectrum Internet. Visit Spectrum.com for details. Based on internet subscribers among top ISPs, speeds may vary. Restrictions apply.
Oh, while we're in lawn and garden, I was thinking I should pick up one of those little things for watering my plants.
A hose?
No, the things that look like teapots, but for plants. You know, you tip it over and it goes blah, 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 blah.
You're good at describing words you've forgotten.
Like those things that give the plants a shower, you know, that you fill up.
A watering can?
Yes, a watering can. I knew that.
We're good at your insurance. Find an Indiana Farm Bureau insurance agent online, over the phone, or in person, and stop knocking on wood.
We are at Colts Camp.
Let guys get reacclimated to doing football-specific activities.
We're going to get a real feel for how dialed in they are.
If you're talking about it,
Shaq, Darius, Shaquille.
Year number 1 of Matt Ryan.
You let him go side to side. He's the best linebacker.
We're talking about it.
There's very little downtime in between snaps with Matt Ryan.
You got to look at everything.
Your home for Indy sports. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
I am in the parking lot right now, hammering a bacon, egg, and cheese, hold the cheese, in preparation to go deep with 4 hits and put on a laser show to the likes of which you have never witnessed in your entire life.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Twin Peaks coming up on Thursday. Hopefully you guys are there with me. It'll be a great time. That's Thursday, beginning at 3 o'clock. Twin Peaks up in Castleton. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline right now. He's going to be the play-by-play man, along with the color analyst, Rick Venturi, for the Colts, once again, preseason games. Greg Rakestraw joins us. Hello, Greg.
Hello, my friend.
You're getting closer and closer to when you guys fire things up in the preseason.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that. I've got a plane to catch next Friday afternoon and a game to broadcast next Saturday afternoon, and I absolutely cannot wait. This is one of the most fun things I get to do all year long.
All right, I want to start right here with you because people had asked me about this rumor that had been circulating amongst Colts fans, and that is the reported interest in, and I believe it until somebody dismisses it, because there are a lot of different ways you can get Colts info or content around here. You don't necessarily have to have much of an affiliation, but would it make sense to you that they'd be looking around at Odell Beckham Jr. right now, considering his return timetable?
It just doesn't strike me as a Chris Ballard type move. I could see them looking at another veteran receiver. Again, I think it's kind of a pros and cons in terms of, do you want to wait another week or two to see exactly what you've got of the guys in camp? If you do that, does that then shrivel up the market in terms of guys landing elsewhere? So veteran, yes. I'm not sure Odell Beckham Jr. would be a guy that this doesn't strike me as a Chris Ballard / Colts type of move.
Well, the fact that Odell Beckham Jr. is not slated to return at the earliest until November just doesn't make a great deal of sense right now.
Correct. In other words, your theory is that you're gonna try to get your young guys some early reps to make them play like veterans as the season goes along. If, say, somebody gets hurt in October and a guy like OBJ is still available, now we're having a different conversation. But my thought would be if the Colts were looking at a veteran receiver, they would want that guy to be playing on September the 11th, not November the 11th.
It's Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So apparently out at camp today, the offense was a bit in struggle mode compared to the level in which the defense was playing. And I equate this like, for example, it's like Pacers Summer League. And when you have your number one pick, he plays well, and you go, okay, he played well, that's great. The only red flag is if he doesn't play well in this case, right? So is there much of a red flag at all when your offense does not play well against your team's defense in a situation like training camp?
No, and again, let's specify pads went on, for the first time. So that makes things a little bit different. And almost every time that happens, the first day or two of that tends to go to the defense. The defense always tends to be ahead of the offense, even if you've got a new defensive coordinator, even if you've got a few more new pieces on defense than offense. Don't freak out about one practice. You can freak out if somebody gets hurt in a practice, but in terms of, if this happens 5 or 6 days in a row, now we're having a different conversation. If this happens one day, not the end of the world.
How are you judging Parris Campbell in this training camp? Chris Ballard had mentioned back in the offseason that they weren't counting on, but they were hoping. And that does make a great deal of sense. And I just mentioned yesterday that it's almost more than hope. You don't count on, but I think you do stretch it out past hope, because to me, their offense, it's essential for them to be at the best that he's a part of it, even though we've not seen it for an extended period of time. Is that offense certainly in need of him? And is it something that anybody can lean on until we actually see him play in games, Greg?
Offense needs playmakers, and he can be a playmaker. I think almost in a perfect scenario, he's your number 3, where, your number 1 is clearly Michael Pittman. You could say your number 2 in terms of catches is likely going to be Nyheim Hines. But looking strictly at the wide receiver position, I think clearly Pierce is the guy that they hope grows into that number 2 spot. They need Parris Campbell to simply be a contributor. They need Parris Campbell to be available, which means I'm not sure there's anything he can do in the month of August that would change the outlook we would have on Parris for, say, September the 2nd, compared to how we're talking about him on August the 2nd. He's looked good in camp before. He's just not been available in regular season games because he's been hurt. And so looks good in camp so far. Clearly he and Matt Ryan have a connection and have bonded. But let's have this conversation after the first Tuesday of the regular season. Let's have this conversation on September the 13th, because that's when it matters. So, again, they need him to be a contributor. I'm not sure they can count on him to be one until he frankly is one. That sounds circular and stupid. I get it, but I think you get the gist of what I'm saying.
Could you view him as taking them production-wise to a different level, a level in which they wouldn't reach if he, again, falls into an injury situation, Greg?
I say with a bit of hesitation, but yes. I mean, I think there are skills that he has that I'm not sure anybody else on this roster has. At the same time, again, because they have learned how to kind of work around him or adapt to life without him, if he's not going to be out there, then you kind of say, okay, it's not exactly something you've lost because of his lack of playing time over the last couple of seasons. So, to some degree, I think some of the things that he can do, the Colts are kind of hoping Ashton Doolin can do. But if the Colts had their druthers, I'm sure they'd rather have Parris Campbell be that guy, so Doolin could still be more of a difference maker and a factor on special teams. So if he's hurt and can't play, the Colts will figure it out because they've done that over the last couple of years. But if he can be a difference maker, if he can be out there for, let's say, 75, 80%, not just of snaps, but for games, then I think you'll see this offense have a noticeable uptick.
Some of the things you and Rick believe you'll be talking about during this preseason. I mean, oftentimes, at least by our Colts experiences, frontline dudes don't get a great deal, if any, playing time. But what are some of the things you're going to focus in on once your preseason coverage begins, television-wise?
Obviously, we're going to be talking about the position battles as camp goes along. My thought is that, there are some veterans that simply are not going to see the field. I'm not sure if Jonathan Taylor is a veteran. He's not going to see the field. But the one thing that we saw last year that I think carries over is that guys that are rookies, unless there is some sort of injury issue, are going to see more of the field. So, we'll see those guys that were drafted early, and Alec Pierce, a Bernhard Raimann, Nick Cross. Frank gives the veterans a little bit of a breather / respite, but the rookies need to go out and get out there and get some reps. So position battles obviously become number one. The guys that were part of the draft class, they become, conversation and need number two.
It's Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I could have saved this for the show. People had asked me this morning, and Blake was running cross country around Collie. I was kind of watching, and I thought, I'm going to save this for the show, asking me what would put, for example, Frank Reich or Chris Ballard on the bubble, or what they like to call the hot seat. Yep. And my definition of it right now, they're not. The thing is, we're going to see how the season goes. And if they don't meet expectations, or if they have an embarrassing moment as they did at the end of last year, that is what puts the head coach on that bubble. He's not on it right now, but lack of expectations or something that would be perceived as embarrassing by the owner, like what they had at the end of last regular season, that would put him on a significant bubble. You agree?
I would agree with that. I would think that if this is not a playoff season, there's going to be some conversations about changes. And again, do I think just making the playoffs makes necessarily a successful season? No. I think there's, again, when the division championship for the first time in 8 years, which gives you a home playoff game for the first time in 8 years, win a playoff game for the first time since the 2018 season, which is now, amazingly, 4 years ago. So those are all things that I think can make this a good season. I'm sure the goals and aspirations, frankly, are higher from coaching staff, from player personnel department, from the guys in the locker room. But in terms of turning up the heat a little bit, if there's no postseason this year, then I think there are some significant conversations that would be taking place over on the Northwest side.
It is Defcon 5 right now, correct? Everything is all good?
As in, yes. As in, the lower you get, the more the DEFCON gets turned up, then yes, I'd put it at 5. I think that's right.
All right, buddy. What you got going on this week?
What I got going on this week is I've got, it's August, and you would think it's all football, right? No, I've still got a couple of basketball things to do. So looking forward to this. Kyle Guy, and I know Kyle joined you on the show a few weeks ago, was just actually hanging out with him earlier this afternoon. The final week of his Dizzy Runs Pro-Am up at Mojo Up Sports Complex up in Noblesville is this week. They are playing tonight. The championship game for the league is Friday night, and we are televising that on the ISC Sports Network. So, and some of the guys that have played, I know Jeff Teague has played, Lance Stevenson has played, Kyle Guy has played, Devontae Smith-Rivera, Miles Colvin, who just made the USA Basketball U18, I think, 3-on-3 team. So congratulations to Miles. Those are some of the guys I have a chance of seeing Friday night. Then I've got Indy 11 soccer on Saturday night. And other than that, hanging out in Westfield at Grand Park at Colts training camp. That's kind of my week that will be.
Have you met Eric up at what is it, Mojo?
Absolutely. Yeah. I name dropped. I went with Kyle first, but believe me, I talked to Eric more at that meeting than anybody else. In that meeting.
Great guy.
Super dude. Absolutely.
I always think about him because when we were going through the teeth of COVID, he made sure that to his best of ability that he offered hoop. Because nobody else was really offering hoop other than playing outside at that time. So I always have a great deal of admiration for him doing that, to being a part of it and providing that still.
No, Eric and Derek and Kyle up there, I think that has surpassed from a crowd standpoint and level of play standpoint, I think that has even surpassed their wildest expectations. There's so many guys that are current pros, D1 kids. I know that I might see Peyton Sparks, who is going to be a sophomore at Ball State. I think his team has a good chance of playing on Friday night. So the last Friday night before things get crazy with football, I've got a little hoopage going on Friday night.
Now, and Jake LaRavia played up there last week, correct?
I believe he did, yes. So I'm not sure there. It depends on who you talk to in terms of just how fluid the rosters might get, for the championship game. We'll see if they stick to it. The teams they have played on the first 5 or 6 weeks, we'll see how it plays out. But I would love to see Mr. LaRavia, since it's been 3 years since I called one of his games, dating back to his days at Lawrence Central High School.
It is Greg Rakestraw via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Greg, I appreciate you, man.
All right, see you, buddy.
It's Greg Rakestraw with us, again, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So, if I pronounce Gyllenhaal, that's wrong. Is it Gyllenhaal or Gyllenhaal?
Personally, it could be Gyllenhaal, but the whole world has just accepted Gyllenhaal.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard him correct.
I'm with the entire world.
Yeah.
So is it similar to Caribbean and Caribbean?
That one is Caribbean.
You better turn your mic on, brother. Your mic's off.
Caribbean is correct there, right? Caribbean is the correct pronunciation.
I thought Caribbean, I think, is more of the snootier way.
I feel like Caribbean is through a bit of Hoosier on that one.
Caribbean. See, I would go with Caribbean because that's how Billy Ocean said it in Caribbean Queen.
I could be
wrong.
He
didn't say Caribbean Queen. You know what I mean?
During the break, I'll look up the proper pronunciation.
I just always thought that Caribbean was a little more of the snootier way to say it than anything else.
Caribbean is what the phonetic pronunciation is showing me right now.
How in the world do you not take Billy Ocean's pronunciation? Do you even know what I'm talking about with Billy Ocean?
I do not know.
Caribbean Queen, you don't? Man, younger generation, you guys got a lot to learn. You got to jump on board here. Got to jump on board. Anyway, I've always said Gyllenhaal. So does that make me snooty? Am I the snooty guy? Gyllenhaal. Maybe. All right, quick one. We'll come back. Zak Keefer is going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour. I am wide open. We'll get into veteran wide receiver needs. We'll get into, what if your offense didn't play well in the first padded day of training camp practice today? Get into that. We'll get into expectations. We'll get into bubbles. I know some people want to talk about Miles Turner and what Bob Kravitz had said to Alice Golden in his Setting the Pace podcast. Yeah, we can get into that if you like as well. 239-1070. Email address is jmv at 1070thefan.com. This show is on Twitter, Inside the Lounge via YouTube Live. And yeah, Jake LaRavia was up in Mojo last week too. Putting on some really fun stuff there. All right, jump into the conversation on YouTube Live. Love to see you there. Otherwise, 239-1070. We'll fire up the phones with you next.
Follow The Fan on social media. The Fan is on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Like and follow The Fan to stay up to date on all of our giveaways and all things sports.
Hubler really does have it all. All of our pre-owned vehicles are Hubler Q certified, which include a 128-point vehicle inspection, a free Carfax vehicle history report, and 2 warranties. A 2-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, and a 30-day, 1,000-mile comprehensive warranty. Visit any of our 13 locations today, or click drivehubler.com. Hubler has it all.
Always keep this number around. I want to have your back because oftentimes you don't think about plumbing unless there is a significant issue. So always have the best on hand when you need them. That's Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing, 317-284-9526. I've talked about 83 are free when that involves cloggage in your main drain. But they do absolutely everything plumbing and especially have your back during a plumbing emergency. Because let's face it, oftentimes you don't even think about it until, for example, you go up and all of a sudden your toilet doesn't flush. then that's an issue. You got to have somebody on hand that's ready to get out there and make sure that's fixed up immediately. That's LD Smith Plumbing. 317-284-9526. Lance and his local team online. LDSmithPlumbing.com today.
What's happening with the Fan?
Join JMV and 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan this Thursday at Twin Peaks for JMV's live broadcast. We'll be passing out swag and talking all things football as we head into training camp. And who doesn't like ice-cold beer and great food? So come on out and see us, talk about the Colts, raise a mug, and join in all the fun from 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
For more info, click on 1075thefan.com.
Hey, bullseyeofingrid.com, the Colts VIP tailgate. You know what NFL games are all about nowadays, right? Sure, you're rooting for your team, the team that you love, but it's about a game day experience, and believe me, your game day experience will not be the best unless you're involved with the Bullseye Event Center and the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration at the Bullseye Event Center before every Colts home game. All you can eat, all you can drink, DJ skids and entertainment. It is the party that everybody deserves on a game day, and that's even before the game kicks off right across the street at Lucas Oil Stadium. Make sure you're a part of it. It is about the game day experience, not just the game. Be in on all of it and combo it up. Colts VIP tailgate passes and tickets to the game, and you can do it with Kyle Canetta, my friends, right now. Log on and get it done. BullseyeEventGroup.com.
Helzberg Diamonds presents The Guy Who Got It Right. Tim needed an engagement ring. He did research, listened to hints from his fiance's friends.
She wants a lab-grown, oval cut, and white gold with a halo.
And he went to Helzberg Diamonds. At Helzberg, Tim found an incredible selection of high-quality, lab-grown, and natural diamonds. He also found the ring she really wanted.
Nailed it. She is gonna freak.
Be like Tim. Find the ring of her dreams at a Helzberg near you or at Helzberg.com. Ask now about special financing offers.
Big Red Liquors. Big Gas Giveaway. This month, Big Red Liquors is giving away 4 $500 gas cards. Yes, you could win a $500 gas card. Stop in at any Big Red Liquors to enter. It's free. Must be 21 to enter. No purchase necessary.
Wednesday on Kevin and Query, we are recapping the first full padded practice at Grand Park. Stephen Holder will join us and Brian Evans as well. Join us 7 a.m.
The Ride with JMV.
Let me have a Diablo sandwich of Dr. Pepper. Make it fast. I'm in a damn hurry.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Joe writes this. So I hear JMV say Jake Gyllenhaal one more time. I'm going to drive off the road. I'm 98% sure it's a G and not a J. I'm snooty. I'm being very snooty when I'm probably just mispronouncing it. Very snooty pronunciation. Inside the Lounge via YouTube Live. Good to see everybody in there. Thank you very much. Sam Fritz is rocking it inside. I like it. LLP. Look at McLean in there with Haas and everybody, man. Wolverines. Yeah, Michigan Wolverines and not Wolverines from Red Dawn, by the way. A little bit different. A tad bit. Yeah, regarding Miles Turner, I wouldn't be surprised either. Nothing's going to surprise me. I'm just hoping he goes to a good team. And then I haven't really thought about if he doesn't play well on a good team and how much I'm going to take it. I'm just thinking about if he does play well on a good team, how much I can give it out. Steve in San Antonio writes this hypothetical question, John. If Wentz and company go to Lucas Oil Stadium on October the 30th and blow out the Colts 41-0, would Jim Irsay be pissed off enough that Frank isn't the head coach? He's not going to do that in season, although that would be an incredibly embarrassing stain. Listen, that to me, that situation would be. This is a really big word from somebody from Greene County right here. Cataclysmic. I mean, that's impossible to imagine. That would go down as the worst game in the history of this franchise. All bets would be off, probably, Steve, if you're the head coach and a part of the worst loss in franchise history, which that would be, considering the circumstances. So that's a hell of a hypothetical, though. I will give you that. Pretty funny to think about, though, but I can't imagine that. John McClain wrote this. I had tweeted this out a little bit earlier. The most accurate film about parenting ever created is celebrating an anniversary today. You guys know what film that is? Parenthood. Seriously, watch Parenthood. Now, again, we're talking about the late 80s here. But there is nothing more accurate than Parenthood. And you may not recognize it. And maybe it'd be tougher, I guess, in this day and age. There are a lot of things that certainly were prevalent back then that wouldn't be so much, and you have a lot more to deal with nowadays. But there was nothing more accurate about parenting than that film. Jason Robards, and all you parents can understand this right along with me. Jason Robards and his part about talking regarding being a parent, never being able to celebrate a touchdown in the end zone, doing your touchdown dance, no matter you're 25, 35, 45, 55, 65. It just keeps going on. That is so accurate. Just some of the best quotes regarding parenting ever in that film. And you probably didn't realize it if you're my age. You probably didn't realize it until you actually became a parent. Rex writes this. Did Finch or Mojo get their AC fixed? I was there last night. It was a sauna. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Eric that. David Goodwin says, your pronunciation is so CG-ish. I said GC-ish, which is Greene County. I don't know. Yeah, there's probably some around Center Grove that pronounce it that way. Maybe I'm just kind of meshing together with all of it. Quick break and we shall return. Me and you on the other side. Let's do some calls regarding any of what we covered in hour number one. Colts practice in pads today, that Odell Beckham Jr. rumor, and a lot more coming at you. Hour two's next.
School is in session.
The great Alec Pierce joins us. First day, how'd it go?
Well, it's good to be back out here. It was nice. We had a couple of days of rookie-only stuff to kind of just get out here, get our feet back under us, like refresh the playbook in your head. So it felt good being out here. It's good to have all the vets back out here. I'm excited for this first camp.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Cards issued by Celtic Bank, member FDIC.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's credit cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 3.3% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Hey, John here for Race Trash Service, the absolute best in and around central Indiana. They do it for everybody that's big. We're talking about Victory Field, Butler. And you know what? They do it for the biggies, but they also do it for you and I as well. The best in waste disposal and the best in recycling. Racetrash.com. Sign up and have them represent you today. And oh, by the way, what about a new career? Anybody thinking about one out there? Do you have a commercial driver's license? Would you like to put that to good use for a great company, great pay, incredible benefits, and a company that's been family operated since the 1960s? Of course, that's Race Trash Service. So drivers, non-driving jobs, as well as the best in waste disposal and recycling at your fingertips. Sign up, apply for both right now. That's racetrash.com.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. Here are a few quick divorce tips that we provide our clients. Number 1, don't move out of your house just because your wife tells you to. Remember, that's your house too. And number 2, don't blow through the financial statements that you file with the court. These are key exhibits and they often make or break your case. And number 3, watch the social networking. Expect your wife's lawyer to do a thorough online search. And incidentally, this is a two-way street. Now, a bonus tip. Partner with your attorney in assembling evidence. You're one of the 2 leading experts on your life and marriage. Your attorney needs your input to achieve your goals. And finally, talk to your attorney before taking action. Good luck.
Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Indianapolis area attorneys, a partner men can count on. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Cordell & Cordell, 101 West Ohio Street, Suite 1100, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46204.
Got a great idea for you in the market for a new ride. Let's put you in business here at the absolute best. That's my friend Eric Wilson, Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers. If you're looking for a brand new GMC Acadia like what I have, you'll love it. They have it. The inventory, the price tag, and the customer service, especially the customer service after the sale that you're looking for. That's why I call them Indiana's best. It's one-stop shopping. Again, it is easy. For a new ride, talk to Eric Wilson and put the wheels in motion with Indiana's best. Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers.
Hopefully, you'll never have a house or business fire. But if you do, hopefully, you'll never forget this name, Michaelis. They can be there before that lump in your throat goes away. In fact, they're the reason it goes away. Over 35 years of helping people recover from faulty wiring, lightning strikes, or that unattended pot of pasta on the stove. Michaelis crews often roll in before the fire hoses are rolled up. Their proven process of water extraction, smoke removal, and content storage will calm your nerves. Then their talented craftsmen will rebuild your home and restore your spirits. That starts by being your advocate with the insurance company. You'll find Michaelis doesn't just feel for you, they work for you. Water, storms, fire, and foundations. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis. The NTT IndyCar Series races through the streets of Nashville. Sunday at 3 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Don't read your email, because I'm really butthurt when you read your email.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Tracksides tonight at 7 o'clock. Zak Keefer's this afternoon at 5 o'clock. I've got an hour with me and you. If you guys want to work your way in at 239-1070, we'd love it. I've covered a lot of ground so far. We'll continue to do so with you coming up in the 4 o'clock hour where we are right now. Shout out to Chad Robling. Chad Robling of Whiteland, Indiana is back. He is living in Colorado. He is a dedicated listener and follower of the show. Back in the 317 right now. Thanks for listening, Chad. Good to have you back. Great guy. Joe had tweeted me this. Nobody says Jake Gyllenhaal's name correctly. That was a Conan O'Brien bit. That is pretty funny. If there's anybody that's going to mispronounce it, it will definitely be me. It's not altogether unusual for me to do that. Jake Wardell saying, bro getting talked about on JMV. That is Shad McGinnis. That was the Odell Beckham Jr. rumor. The co-owner of, I see it here now. I'm going to go ahead and give it credit. Co-owner of the Blue Stable, and he's associated with Fanside Network. That is where that Odell Beckham Jr. rumor is running wild right there with Colts folks. And while you ask me, And why I tell you exactly what I've heard. And again, what I've heard is nothing regarding a specific name. But what I told you a couple of weeks ago is at some point, the addition of a veteran wide receiver is going to happen. I just don't know if it's going to be that. Jim Bowden, the former Reds general manager who has a show, and I don't know what's associated with. Yeah, SiriusXM. Says the Nats and the Reds have done as good a job in selling at the trade deadline as we've ever seen in the modern era. That doesn't give me much of a sports arousal, Jimmy. Sorry, as a Reds fan, I'm not too aroused over that. As you would say around here, are they going to put up a banner? Maybe the greatest selling at the trade deadline we have ever seen in the modern era. I don't even know where to begin with that comprehension. Miami Dolphins got pinched by the NFL a little bit earlier today, in case you guys saw that. Nothing regarding the accusations and allegations from Brian Flores, their former head coach, but tampering. Everybody's tampering these days. You got tampering going on in the NBA, tampering going on in the NFL. The owners of the Dolphins, Stephen Ross, among the two owners with ownership of the Dolphins, tampering with both Sean Payton and Tom Brady. Why do you have to tamper if you're... Don't you just say, hey, we're Miami? Come on down? Do you know how bad you have to suck if you're the Dolphins to not just be able to say, hey, come on down and make a buttload of money in Miami? So they're losing their first rounder next year, and I believe a second rounder after that. And that thing leaking right there. That cup leaks. Ridiculous. Can't count on anything anymore. Seriously, you watch it on YouTube Live? Look at that styrofoam cup. Has a hole in it. Son of a gun. And anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. So they don't get a first rounder next year. They'd be in the Dolphins. I know you guys don't care about that. But what happens if Tua is not as advertised? Because he certainly has not been as advertised yet. Well, if you want to go a different direction, you have kind of put yourself in a bad spot. You just can't say you're Miami anymore. Yeah. Well, I didn't necessarily mean that. Yeah, you're right. If somebody is signed up with another team, you can't say, hey, come make a buttload in Miami with somebody that's already under contract somewhere else. But no, seriously. Why can't you just like lean back and say, I'm Miami. Just come here. That's what they do in the NBA, right? It's from Michael, JMV. Two things here. If Odell Beckham Jr. is signed, where is he on the depth chart? Also, do you think signing him this early would mean a multi-year deal? It certainly would mean that the Colts would have to pay him for the year. I can't imagine that they would want to do that, especially if the guy, again, this is just answering your question, Michael, if the guy is not even going to be cleared to play, ready to play, coming off of injury until November. Just another layer of why it wouldn't make a great deal of sense to me right now. Indy guy chimes in. Odell Beckham Jr. is rumored to about 10 teams right now, which is exactly, I'm sure, how he likes it. Doesn't really seem like a Ballard signing. You're telling me. Like, veteran-wise, I can absolutely see it, but I haven't heard anything regarding names. I just assuming they were kind of going over everybody right now. And looking at everybody. Everybody and anybody to this point. Daniel Eads inside the lounge via YouTube Live kills me how these teams cheat, but they continue to lose. That might be the worst part of cheating. At least you get a little something, right, out of winning if you cheat. But if you cheat and you lose, all hope seems to be lost at that point. House checks in on Twitter. JMV, is the Raskeller still a happening spot downtown in Indy? As far as I know, it is. I think a lot of people still go to the Rathskeller. Sammy, are you a Rathskeller guy?
I myself do not go because I do not drink, but I have heard a lot of my friends talk about going to the Rathskeller.
They have a substantial beer garden out back where bands play. So, yes, I think the Rathskeller still could be described certainly as one of the go-tos downtown. Off of Mass Ave right there. My remote is at Twin Peaks. That is on Thursday. I am not sure if it is going to be a lingerie Thursday, but I will keep you updated. Corey Kinney writes this: what's the downside to signing Odell Beckham Jr.? If Reggie wasn't there, I would not be a fan, but this feels perfect, assuming he's healthy. Well, I think the problem is, Corey, he's not going to be healthy, cleared to be healthy, as it says right here, until November. So the timing doesn't make a lot of sense. Paying him for not playing doesn't make a great deal of sense. And then Chris Ballard in general, thinking about it from this standpoint, doesn't make sense at all. I mean, we do have to consider exactly how Chris Ballard has thought about the position over the years. That doesn't make sense. Like, to me, right now, TY Hilton would make more sense than Odell Beckham Jr. would. I get what you're saying. JMV in sports, you need all the bodies you can get. Sign Odell Beckham Jr. The problem is his body's not going to be ready till November. It seems like if you have an issue at that position, which I think a lot of us are on the record talking about with a great deal of concern, you probably realize that before November. Now, I will say this. I'll give you a scenario that to me works. All right? I'll go anti-Ballard. I'll give you the scenario that works for me right here. That is, if they play incredibly well, and they feel that adding that veteran wide receiver could be that final step they need. You know, regardless of what you think about him, is he still dynamic? Is he as dynamic as he once was? Whatever. I'm giving you a hypothetical here. That'd be the hypothetical to me that would make sense. This one really doesn't right now. Veteran wide receiver move does. Like when you say, yeah, you need all the bodies you can get, especially at that position, because you have a lot of unproven guys in the pass catching realm for this team. So yeah, I completely agree. Bodies would be great, but you would like to, if you're going to bring somebody in now, I'm assuming you would want them to like join in right now. Not sit until November, and not sit and be paid until November. To me, Odell Beckham Jr. is a move that you make if you feel you are right there and you need a piece, and this guy is rip-roaring, ready to go. Coming off an injury, ready to help. Again, that's hypothetical, but that's what makes the most sense to me. This from a variety of ways, even with the way that you're talking about right here, well, you need bodies. And I know you said, well, they paid Luck not to play. Well, you know why they paid Luck not to play, because their hope was he was going to come back and play again. And that wasn't even they, that was he. That was the owner. They were hoping he was going to come back and play. That was hey, I tell you what, you take this, and then when your head is clear and you're good to go and you've got that spark again or whatever, then we're right here. No, I do. I get the body portion of it. And even beyond that, I get beyond the body portion, I get hey, what if you need the production? I get that part. But the unavailability and having to pay during that unavailability, that's the part I guess I don't get of all this. This very well could be true. I'm just telling you that I haven't heard it. The only part I've heard is a veteran wide receiver. That part I can get, but I haven't heard any name specific, and that goes back to last week when, you know, that whole Julio Jones thing ended up flying around a little bit, and Chris Ballard answered the question, and then we'll talk to Zach. Yeah, he was the one that had tweeted out, frankly, I don't understand how all these rumors get started. Well, I mean, the rumor gets started because I talk about it. The reason why I talk about it was because it was accurate. It's exactly the reason. I wouldn't talk about it if it Wouldn't be accurate. Corey, I'll see you at Twin Peaks on Thursday, buddy. JMV, the Colts could be winless on October the 30th, and Frank still wouldn't get fired. Irsay gave Pagano and Grigson extensions while they were murdering Andrew Luck. He sure as hell isn't firing a coach he likes in October. Yeah, and that's not happening. And, James, I tried to explain because people were asking me this morning what would put the head coach or the general manager on the bubble. The general manager's not going to be on the bubble. But the head coach would go on if his team plays their way and plays him onto it. If they do what they did a year ago and that El Foldo at the end of the year, if they don't get close to reaching expectations, which is an absolute winning the AFC South, then he's there. What I'm telling you is he's not on any top 5 coaches on the hot seat or coaches on the bubble. He's not on that right now. He is just not. His team very well could play his way onto it. But he's not there right now. Without question. Oh, does this make me excited? Bob Nightingale reports that the Reds received 3 of the Mariners' top 5 prospects and 3 of the Twins' top 14 prospects. 8 top prospects. They could be dangerous in a couple of years, according to Bob Nightingale. Hey, I just hope I'm here to see it. I will not hold my breath, but I hope I'm here to see it. That is straight up Cincinnati Reds fan reaction right there. I guess that doesn't really give me that much of a sports arousal. I hope in 3 years that they're very exciting and there's a reason for me to talk them up. Zach is at 239-1070. Zach, welcome to the show.
Hey, John. Hey, sorry about your Reds, man, but what else are you going to do? Where else are you going to go, right? I mean, that's what the owner said.
Yeah. I guess I'm hanging with them, though. I'm waiting 3 years or 4 years when those prospects blossom, and then I can talk a bunch of junk. I'm waiting. It seems like that's all we do around here for winning is wait. Why are we waiting so much for that?
I know. I hear you. Hey, you may have talked about this earlier. I'm not sure, but I know last year when the Colts tried to when they brought in Eric Fisher and signed him, he was coming off the ACL tear, and I forget how long he had to sit out in the year. And I mean, obviously, didn't really work out as they had as well as they had hoped. But and I know tackle is kind of a different position than wide receiver as well. But just another situation where they brought in somebody who was injured coming into the year. So
and I would agree. Zach, you hit on this, and it was accurate because not only did they absolutely need a left tackle, but that is something, either side of the football up front, you could see Chris Ballard doing something like this. At wide receiver, it's tough to visualize that. Again, I'm not suggesting that they're not looking around, because you really need to. Let's think about it in terms like this. When Chris Ballard said regarding Parris Campbell in the offseason, and we often bring this up on all the shows here, that he's hoping but not expecting because of the past history of Parris Campbell with injury. That's how we all look at the pass catchers here. You're hoping, but you're not expecting. So you're not doing your job if you're not looking around. And believe me, just because last week Chris Ballard said they didn't have discussions about Julio Jones straightened that out the next day when he had mentioned that they looked. And that's exactly what I told you. I think I described it as eyeballed. Why? Because that's what you do when you remain skeptical about a position. And then Chris constantly talks about trying to find depth and add. And, even though you don't make a great deal about, everybody talks about defensive line and offensive line when it comes to Chris Ballard, but you understand where you are at both wide receiver and tight end. So you continue to look, and the skepticism, there's nothing wrong with it. That keeps you on your toes. I mean, to me, it would keep me up. It'd keep me up at night because I just look at it, those positions, and especially that of wideout, of more value than I do other positions that certainly Chris Ballard values more than a lot of general managers around the NFL. But you have to keep looking, and I would expect them to keep looking. I would just be surprised if they jumped in on a guy who's not going to be ready until November and then paid a guy full-on season to do it. Like when they did that for Eric Fisher, they did that in May. And there was an absolute need at left tackle then. Now, we'd all question whether or not there's going to be an absolute need at left tackle now, but there's an absolute need there. Like, they don't view wide receiver as the absolute need that they viewed left tackle when they signed Eric Fisher and hoped that he came back and was good to go. And certainly, Chris Ballard does not view wide receiver at the utmost value as we do. I would get this if this was with regards to an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, but yeah, this one would surprise me right now. Terry Jones chimes in. The general manager built a team with 7 Pro Bowlers. He can't coach them nor go out and play. Why does everyone want him on the hot seat? Because he runs the team. Because he runs the team and everybody has expectations, and when you don't meet expectations, somebody takes the fall for it. It's not going to be Jim Irsay, and it's not going to be Chris Ballard. But if this team plays below expectations, disappoints and or embarrasses as it did a year ago, then that's going to put the head coach on that bubble. That's the only way this season he goes on that bubble. Expectation/embarrassment. And he is not on it right now. And you can say, well, that's not right. He has to be on it right now if you're thinking that way. No, because they're not even thinking about having that type of season. Thus, he's not on it right now. But his team could play his way onto it. Chad Cummings writes this: Ballard hates the wide receiver position so bad the Rams could be shopping Cooper Kupp for 2 McRibs and he wouldn't even look at it. I will tell you this. I get defense wins. Defense wins championships. You got to have a great defense, and the Rams had a very good defense and had one of the best defensive players of all time up front. I'm still doing Aaron Donald. But when did they position themselves better to win a Super Bowl? Which they did this past year. And listen, credit where credit is due with Matthew Stafford at quarterback. They had plenty of weapons for him. That is just the way this game is played. Like, I don't want to get into any arguments right now about, the value of left guard and why you're going to pay the left guard $20 million a year. We've been down this path before. Do you know how I feel about it compared to how I feel about the skill position players on a team and what they can do for you compared to what the left guard can do for you? But, I mean, Chris is trying to do something here that not a lot of teams, a lot of general managers are trying to do. I mean, other teams that do that, I was trying to think last year, was it Joe Tunney last year that was added at left guard, was the highest paid left guard in the NFL. He was added to the Chiefs last year, right? He came over from New England, and they're going to say, well, I mean, the Chiefs, obviously, as high level as they are, they understood exactly how important that position was, but they had the other positions figured out. I mean, let's face it, too, as far as quarterback is concerned, you still want to see it to believe it with Matt Ryan. You're feeling good about it, and you feel much better than you did last year, certainly at the end of last year with Carson Wentz, but you still have to see it to believe it. With Kansas City in mind, think about what they had. They had everything else figured out. And now we'll see what Kansas City does after kind of moving away from that particular philosophy. Now, they tried to reload as best as they could after, dumping Tyreek Hill in the fashion in which they did, but that does go away from their philosophy a little bit. But they already have ready-made positions of absolute need. before they went that direction. The Colts still, other than Jonathan Taylor, I think everybody feels good about Michael Pittman Jr., but it's not absolute yet. And I think everybody feels good about Matt Ryan, but that's far from absolute. They still have some of the absolute positions to get figured out and to see that success. See, Fetch writes this: the Rams wouldn't have won the Super Bowl without Odell Beckham Jr. Bring him to Indy would be a huge boost heading into the home stretch. JMV, I ain't into guys who don't play, let alone high-price, soft, old dudes like Beckham. JMV, at the folks on West 56th Street think the 17 teams on their schedule are going to let Taylor cut them up in year 3. With this group of wide receivers, there is zero chance there won't be more guys that they can block on the box. I would certainly, there are going to be significant adjustments made after an 1,800-yard season. Yeah. When you think about last year, according to Pro Football Focus, Jonathan Taylor had over 1,200 yards after contact. Which is nuts. But I would agree with you on that focus. That's why if Jonathan Taylor doesn't approach 1,800 yards, I asked him yesterday on the show, are you focused in on, you zeroed in on 2,000? And he just talked about, I just want to win. I want this team to win. That's the key. Him being the threat, him giving you good production, but it doesn't have to be 1,800 yards. And you can make the argument that if it isn't, it's better for them because that means the pass-catching aspect is working. That means the quarterback is working. Your passing game is consistent. That is the balance that you're chasing. That's what makes you better. Daryl's at 239-1070. Jump on here.
How you doing, John? Great show as always.
Thank you, my brother. Are you going to be there on Thursday at Twin Peaks? What we got working?
It's Bikini Week.
Bikini Week? Well, Holy crap. How did I get going there on Bikini Week?
You figured that one out. You picked the right day.
Shout out to Bikini Week. Go ahead.
When is Ballard going to figure out his recipe is not working? It's every time I listen to you and Dan and the rest of the guys, it's the same thing, and it's driving me nuts. It's like the Detroit Lions all over again. Until he gets a wide receiver and 2 receivers that can get separation and catch the ball. Sure, are they going to possibly win the division this year? Probably, and if they don't, there's something wrong. But he's got to fix the problem, and he hasn't fixed the problem yet. And if they do win the division, who are they going to beat with this offense? Are they going to beat the Rams? Are they going to beat the Bills?
I will say this, that winning the division, get a playoff home game, that's the beginning of it all. And I think everything else can be figured out after that. But it's interesting because we do how he views Parris Campbell this season, and hoping but not counting on is how most Colts fans view not just the wide receiver, but the pass catchers in general this season.
Say he doesn't work out and he gets injured, who are they going to go get? Yeah. They always wait till something happens to try to fix a problem, and it's not going to work.
They have been very reactionary. Daryl, am I going to see you on Bikini Week on Thursday?
I'll definitely be there to say hi.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you. Bikini Week? Who signed me up at Twin Peaks on Bikini Week? Did you guys do that inside the lounge via YouTube Live? Jennifer wants to know, I can wear some Speedos there. I'll wear some grape smugglers. Not only is it Bikini Week at Twin Peaks, but it's radio host wearing grape smuggling week. I'm going to smuggle some grapes into Twin Peaks on Thursday. That's a good plan right there, Jennifer. The boys need a house. Scott Smith writes this: Pittman, Pierce, and Woods will need to come and find their place to the offense. Yeah, you're talking about certainly the 2 younger guys. And I'm not suggesting that the offense doesn't click by virtue of the threat and production Jonathan Taylor brings. I'm just telling you this offense would be much better if he does not get to the 1,800-yard plateau like he did last year, because the offense is better well-rounded in terms of passing offense, and that would be more consistent. That completion percentage is better. That would mean this offense would be much better. So he could have less than 1,800 yards, and people would go, oh, he didn't reach that again. Oh, here we go. It's the old story of running backs. But this offense, to me, would be better. I kind of view it that way, and I view Parris Campbell, again, as being essential. And I know it's tough to think about that because he's just never been healthy to be called upon in that capacity. But he does, should, could, I think absolutely will add a layer that they cannot replicate if he can remain healthy. Thus, to me, that makes him essential. Quick break and we'll come back. Your calls coming up on the other side. Zak Keefer, top of the hour from The Athletic. This is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Don't move.
Those who've built their own financial success know that moving forward requires not just the right tools, but an in-depth knowledge of how to use them. That's why Edelman Financial Engines gives you a dedicated wealth planner supported by a team of experts. We know a modern wealth planning relationship demands human insight powered by advanced technology. Our advice is tailor-made for your personal goals, and our investment management approach is based on Nobel Prize-winning research. We model more than 38,000 securities, so we can better stress test your portfolio through thousands of scenarios. See what we can build for you. Call 888-899-4450. That's 888-899-4450. Or visit efewealthplanners.com to get your complimentary financial plan. Edelman Financial Engines. Built for those who built themselves.
Hey, John for Connecticut, the best water possible. That is Connecticut water, Connecticut in your home. With Joe and John, and great deals right now on what gives you that great Connecticut water. That's the Premier Series water softener and the K5 in-home drinking water station. So you've been told, like I've been told, you've got to better hydrate. You've got to drink more water. And I always thought, what am I going to drink water for? Water, until I got the K5. Beyond legit. It's a game changer for you, and they have it at Connecticut for great prices right now. 2 locations, northeast side, Castleton, south side, US 31 and Southport Road. The Connecticut Water app. Download that to your smartphone or device today or online, ConnecticutIndy.com.
America's leading internet provider just got even faster. Switch to Spectrum Internet, and you now get starting speeds of up to 300 megabits per second. Faster speeds for streaming, faster speeds for gaming, faster speeds for working or learning, all with 99.9% network reliability. So no matter what you do online, you can do it better, safer, and now even faster with Spectrum Internet. Visit Spectrum.com for details. Based on internet subscribers among top ISPs, speeds may vary. Restrictions apply.
What's the biggest difference between family-owned and corporate-owned businesses these days? The importance of the customer. Take Quality Supply and Tool, for example. For over 25 years, owner Kevin Ane and his staff have prided themselves on supplying tools, materials, and expertise to your construction project. No job is too big or too small. Quality Supply and Tool has locations on South Harding Street in Indy, plus Bloomington and Jeffersonville, and they stand behind everything they sell with a full-service warranty center. See the difference for yourself at Quality Supply and Tool, where they think outside the box. Store.
Hey, the best in realty, Mark Dietel. That's Mark Dietel Realty today. Call this number, 317-755-4232. If you're in the market to put your house out there to see what you can get out of it, or you just need a little bit more space, 317-755-4232. It's markdietel.com, Mark, DIETEL.com today. All right, so Joe and Mindy in Pittsburgh have this as a following recommendation. Kids out of the house, else, it's time to downsize. They're counting on Top Dollar in a hot market to help them with the next phase of their life. A little bit nervous about it, right? But what do? You call him the best. That's Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232. Mark guarantees multiple offers in 3 days for full market value, or he will list it for free. He's the best. Mark Dietel, 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, MarkDietel.com today.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
An effective defense often hinges on sophisticated strategies relating to income tax projections, business valuations, spousal support claims. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Indianapolis area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 317-322-0122, or visit online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Indianapolis. Cordell & Cordell, 101 West Ohio Street, Suite 1100, Indianapolis, Indiana 46204.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. Credit card debt in the U.S. has hit an all-time high of $930 billion. And while most folks are struggling to get through the month wondering which bills to pay, the greedy credit card companies are making record profits. Your home is probably worth more than ever before, and that equity is just sitting there. There's never been a better time to look at a cash-out refinance. Apply online today at thehomeloanexpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
It's time for camp. No, not that camp. We're talking Colts training camp.
Kevin Bowen here at Grand Park. Colts back to work.
So now we can ask the big question.
Consistently much better this year.
The wide receiver core is a concern.
They would have liked to have seen some sort of veteran move there.
The Colts have just disregarded.
The NFL season countdown is underway. It's Colts Camp.
42 ISO X Flash. I want
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Say, man, you got a joint? No, not on me, man. It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us inside the lounge via YouTube Live. You guys keep it happening in there. Hey, JMV, I see you're wearing your Warriors, the film t-shirt. Did you happen to see on IFC last week there was the Warriors uncut? Oh, the director's cut. Yeah, it was the director's cut as well. Yeah, absolutely. If it's on, I'll watch it. I'll tell you what, the female gang was the toughest gang out there, too. The Lizzies, I believe. The female gang, and they were the toughest ones by far. Well, I mean, outside of who was protecting Cyrus and didn't do their job. But absolutely, the director's cut, on board with it. Anytime, every time. Top of the hour. Zak Keefer of The Athletic's going to be with us. Hey, JMV, I think Taylor can get more yardage with fewer carries with a well-rounded offense. Don't you have to be able to be a serious threat through the air having a guy like Jonathan Taylor back there? Knowing what he did a year ago? You know, that's why when everybody talks about being a little skeptical about those pass catchers, a lot riding on that and what should happen. Completely agree. Yeah, the Odell Beckham Jr. thing right now, although they remain on the lookout, at least what I've told you the past 2 weeks, for a veteran wide receiver. Seems like they're always looking. It'd surprise me if it were him, considering he's not going to be good to go until November, especially right now. And again, maybe somebody has something that I haven't heard, but I'd be surprised right now if that were the case. But yeah, that's That is part of it. Jonathan Taylor, by the way, was on here yesterday. He was spectacular. 1075thefan.com via podcast. I mean, spectacular. I was going to mention this, and I had forgotten about it. The Jim Irsay collection is in Chicago on the Navy Pier tonight. Now, the Jim Irsay collection is all of his sports, music, acting, this pop culture memorabilia that he has. From the volleyball Wilson. Did he finally get that? I know he missed on that initially. I thought he finally got that. From the Tom Hanks film. And yeah, the guitar, Kurt Cobain's guitar of Nirvana. Just a lot of pop culture type of things. They're on the Navy Pier tonight up in Chicago. And they also do performances, so he brings in, various band members, musicians for this. I mean, normally we have talked to Kenny Aronoff last month, the longtime Mellencamp drummer. He's been a part of this. Mike Wanchik, longtime Mellencamp collaborator, is a part of this. Stephen Stills has. Mike Mills of REM has. I think tonight, Buddy Guy, they're going to be celebrating blues in Chicago tonight. Buddy Guy is a part of it tonight. Kenny Wayne Shepherd is a part of it tonight. And Ann Wilson of Heart, apparently she's a part of it tonight. And you're thinking, they're going to sing Barracuda and Magic Man. But she is going to be doing many a cover of Led Zeppelin tunes tonight. That should be a blast up at the Navy Pier. And the Jim Irsay collection is coming here on September the 9th and the 10th at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Just to answer your question, Jim Irsay missed out on the volleyball from Castaway. He apparently was outbid at the last minute.
I thought that he went back and got that again. Wilson, the volleyball in Castaway. But Navy Pier up in Chicago tonight, and as I mentioned, too, the Jim Irsay collection is going to be for free. You can get in there for free. You just have to sign up, I think, to get tickets to go in. But Lucas Oil Stadium, September the 9th and the 10th. And I will tell you this, you can expect a great deal. Probably some surprises coming your way as far as who you're going to see. Yeah, this is right. I would expect even more than this. So there's Kenny Aronoff, Mike Wanchik, Ann Wilson, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Mike Mills, the founding member of REM. I think you could probably expect even more. So you have any Elton John sunglasses in that collection anywhere? Jackie Robinson's bat, Paul McCartney's original Hey Jude handwritten studio lyrics. Rarely seen selection of Baltimore and Indianapolis Colts memorabilia. Edgerrin James is going to be there. This is for the event in Indy coming up on September the 9th and the 10th. I've got to get Edgerrin James on the show. In fact, I was going to do my show there live because I want to talk to all of these people. But I think I'm going to that's my first Bud Light Blue Friday. And we'll be giving away Chiefs tickets on that, so I got to be there. But this is going to be outstanding, I promise you that. Tonight in Chicago and coming up on September the 9th and the 10th, the Jim Irsay collection will be at Lucas Oil Stadium. If you love pop culture, music, sports, film, all of it, it'll be a pretty cool event. And then a lot of good music folks surrounding this, too. All right, Mike's at 239-1070. Mike, jump on here. How are you?
Hey, John. How are you?
Fantastic. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, first of all, thanks. Now I've got Glenn Fry's In the City stuck on my head, so you didn't.
Oh, well, yeah, I think, I don't want to cry. I believe that's Joe Walsh, right?
Oh, it is Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh. Right. But you're right. You are, hey, boppers. I love the DJ in that. Boppers. Just screwing the Warriors over, too, man. Misidentifying them. The Warriors did it.
Can you dig it?
Yeah. Poor Cleon. Poor Cleon at the beginning. He looked like a badass dude. He was fighting. He got his clock clean at the beginning. We didn't see him again. Did he die?
Nope. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he died.
Did he go to jail or die? Now, I know that Ajax said he probably had a nightstick halfway up his rear end, I think, in terms of what he thought happened to Cleon at that time. God, that's a great movie. You want me to go into full detail, or do you have something to say? Go ahead.
Well, also, Rakestraw so good. If you ask Rakestraw who won a croquet match in somebody's backyard 2 weeks ago, he probably has.
Well, he was probably doing play-by-play of it.
Hey, on Taylor, I think he was probably underutilized in the passing game last year as well. I don't know what he caught, 30 or 35. It seemed like it was maybe the Tennessee game where he caught a dump off early and went the distance. But, I mean, that's also part of the passing game, his ability to run the ball. He also clears and I think he's pretty good at picking up the blitz as well. But getting him in the passing game, I think you get him in open field, and it doesn't matter if he runs for 1,800 yards. If he's getting another 45 or 70 yards on occasion in the passing game too, because I think he can catch the ball. And
yeah, he had 40 receptions, 360 a year ago is what he had, which would put him pretty close to the second leading receiver on the team, which was Zach Pascal, who went over 400 yards receiving a year ago.
And we all saw him constantly wide open, and I don't think the quarterback could see past the end of a COVID hypodermic needle, because he didn't seem to ever notice Taylor wide open in the middle of the field when you needed 7 yards for a first down, and he's throwing 23 yards down the field. So I think that's another advantage. I think Taylor, and I don't want to dismiss what Naheem's going to give us in our passing game, but I think Taylor can be a big part of that as well. Just wanted to get your thoughts.
Hey, I'm curious, Mike, before you go, do you think that people like me are making too much out of being suspect about the pass catchers, meaning wide receivers and tight ends, or you think that is a legitimate take?
See, it was hard to tell about the tight ends. Is somebody going to take a Doyle role and primarily be a blocker and then occasionally slip out and make a key reception to move the chains? I don't know how they're going to use the tight ends. How they used them in Philadelphia when Frank was there seems to be much different than we've used them here, at least in the last couple of years. So I think that's a hard tell, because the tight ends can also be a big part of that. There's a lot of options, but we just don't know. We don't know the quality of those options, I don't think.
Yeah, well, and that's part of it too. That's where I kind of referenced what Chris Ballard had to say regarding Parris Campbell in the offseason. I mean, you hope, but you're not expecting because of the history of injury. Colts fans feel the same way about the pass catchers. You hope, but you're not overall expecting because you've only seen one do it at a high level, and that's Michael Pittman Jr.
If you look at the tight ends that Ryan had in Atlanta, and they were very good tight ends, by the way, including last year. He had a rookie, but they were very, very good. He clearly used his tight end significantly.
Yeah.
But he had Hall of Fame level tight ends too. So I mean, you just don't know.
Hey, Mike, I appreciate the call. Do that again soon. Hey, JMV, have you heard about this Odell Beckham Jr. rumor? I missed the first half of the show. I did bring it up. I'll rehash it, Jamie, for you coming up on the other side. Zak Keefer, the athletic top of the hour. Tuesday edition of this show inside the lounge via YouTube Live, the stream, the app, HD Radio, and 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
If you missed your favorite show on The Fan today, no worries. Go to 1075thefan.com and click on our blog section to read up on the most discussed topics of the day.
Bowling, 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 keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, 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 Royal Pin.
It's time to sign up for a league at any of the Royal Pin locations. They have leagues for beginners who just want to have fun and competitive leagues for longtime bowlers. All bowlers are welcome. Don't have a team? Don't worry. They'll match you up with a team. It's easy. Just sign up for a league at royalpin.com or stop into one of the centers. Plus, download the Open Lane app and become a rewards member. League bowlers get games for just $1.75 throughout the week, so don't wait to join.
Set them up, knock them down, send them flying, spinning round.
For more information, call 465-8484 or visit royalpin.com.
Royal Pin, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin, bowling.
Shout out to the best of plumbing, Lance, and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing. 317-284-9526. We've talked about it for the better part of spring and the summer. The main drain in your home sometimes can become clogged and unruly, meaning it can back up in your home, and you may want a swimming pool, but you don't want that as a swimming pool. Make sure your main drain remains clog-free. 83 or free is what they want to call it. So $83 to make sure your main drain is clear or the visit is free. That's LD Smith Plumbing. 317-284-9526. The best in all of your plumbing needs and especially plumbing emergencies. Again, keep the number handy. 317-284-9526. Lance and his local team online, ldsmithplumbing.com today.
At Eskenazi Health, our patients are treated with compassion and skill. That's why Eskenazi Health is looking for professionals who share our mission and are dedicated to serving the community. As an employee of Indiana's top hospital for social responsibility and community health investment, you'll enjoy excellent benefits, competitive pay, and unwavering leadership support. Learn more about Eskenazi Health careers online at eskenazihealth.edu/careers.
Mom, Dad, you should shop Amazon for back to school and save some money. See, I'm currently obsessed with superheroes and need all the superhero stuff. Superhero lunchbox, superhero backpack. But next year, it'll be something else. Maybe dinosaurs? I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. But I can tell you not to spend a fortune and shop low prices for school on Amazon. Okay, good chat. Amazon. Spend less, smile more.
Message to Amy Spin Class. Happy 3rd, 29th birthday, Amy! Exclamation point. Ha ha. Balloon emoji. Balloon emoji. Balloon emoji.
You're good at voice to text.
Pizza emoji.
We're good at your insurance. Find an Indiana Farm Bureau insurance agent online, over the phone, or in person. And stop knocking on wood.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, every day is a beach day. And with 35 miles of pristine, sugary white sand, it's easy to see why. So let's grab the beach bag, the beach ball, and the boogie board. Let's pack the suits, the sunscreen, and the sunglasses. Take a dip in the emerald green waters of the Gulf. And then take in a breathtaking sunset at the end of the day. So let's make a beeline to the beach. And let's shine. Plan your next getaway at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
Hey, everybody, we've all heard stories from friends and family about something really bad that happened. You're in an accident, there's a painful life-altering injury, huge medical bills, even wrongful death, all from someone else's fault. Some of you are dealing with that right now. That's where the attorneys at Parris Ritchie Law Firm can help. Tony Patterson, Paul Cruz, and John McLaughlin lead a team with over 70 years of collective courtroom experience and millions of dollars in jury awards and settlements for their clients. None of us can change the past. Just know that Tony, Paul, and John are on your side to help you and your family going forward. They're recognized by super lawyers and U.S. News and World Report as being among the leading injury lawyers in Indiana. Even if you're unsure you have a case, give Parris Ritchie a call. They'll listen and give you their free experienced legal opinion. Call 317-269-2509 or visit parinjury.com. That's P-A-R-R injury.com.
Big Red Liquors Big Gas Giveaway. This month, Big Red Liquors is giving away 4 $500 gas cards. Yes, you could win a $500 gas card. Stop in at any Big Red Liquors to enter. It's free. Must be 21 to enter. No purchase necessary.
Padres, Dodgers, Sunday Night Baseball. The coverage begins at 6 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I am down with Jake Gyllenhaal being Dalton again. Reboot that Roadhouse if you want to. I like Jake Gyllenhaal. Go ahead and reboot it. I even like Maggie. I didn't used to like either one of them, but for some reason I like them both right now. So reboot Roadhouse if you want to. Inside the Lounge via YouTube Live, some solid discussion going on about what could lead to significant football. Hey, by the way, the Padres, you could describe the Padres as going after it. So they got Juan Soto. They just brought in Drury from the Reds. They are going after it right now. This might be the best Padres team. When did they go? Was it 98 or 99 when they went to the World Series and lost to the Yankees? And prior to that, it was 1984 when they had Steve Popeye, Forearms, Garvey. Oh, and playing third base. You guys remember this name? Kurt Bavacqua. I believe the late Tommy Lasorda hated Kurt Bavacqua. That was that Padres team at 84.
92 and 70.
What? In 84?
1984, 92 and 70 is what I'm seeing.
Oh, man. They beat the Cubs, if you remember, in the championship series. Cubs fans remember that vividly, I'm sure. But yeah, Kurt Bavacqua. Garvey was on that team. The Padres making major moves today. Yeah, I did see this, and this makes me incredibly sad because he was one of the all-time greats to ever play sports, much less football in this state. Lars Tate, North Central High School, Georgia running back. I want to say he was drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Passed away earlier today. One of the top all-time rushers at Georgia. He came in as Herschel Walker exited, if you remember. But around here, his exploits on the high school gridiron were legendary. And rightly so. That is an incredibly sad day. Actually, it says here that he passed away on Monday. 56 years old. He was something. That would have been class of 1984. Is that accurate for folks that probably knew him well around here at North Central High School? He and Gary Thurman, the same age. Athleticism. But, yeah. Our thoughts going out to the family. Now, I don't think, Kevin, he meant that the Padres were in the World Series in 70. You gave the 1984 win-loss record of the Padres, right? You said 92 and 70? Is that what you said, Sammy?
92 and 70,
yeah.
Yes.
He gave, Kevin, Sam gave the win-loss record of the Padres in 84. I was just trying to figure out when they were in the World Series against the Yankees. Was that 98 or 99? They were in the World Series against the Yankees. But I knew in 1984 they were in the World Series, and they ended up losing to the Tigers.
Yeah, 94 they lost to the Tigers 4-1. At 98 they lost to the Yankees. They were swept 4-0.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, he meant the win-loss record. Phil writes this before this break. If they reboot Roadhouse, who should play Brad Wesley? Ooh. We'll put that to good use coming up on the other side. And that rumor regarding Odell Beckham Jr., that and more. Zak Keefer, the Athletic, from Colts Camp up at Grand Park in Westfield's next.
We are at Colts Camp.
Let guys get reacclimated to doing football-specific activities.
We're going to get a real feel for how dialed in they are.
If you're talking about it,
Shaq, Darius, Shaquille.
Year number 1 of Matt Ryan.
You let him go side to side. He's best linebacker.
We're talking about it.
There's very little downtime in between snaps with Matt Ryan.
You got to look at everything. Your home for Indy Sports. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. The amount of money our clients receive with a simple cash-out refinance is life-changing. Imagine paying off all your credit cards, completing home improvement projects, and taking the family on a much-needed vacation while still having money in the bank. And with our 10-day closing guarantee, that could all be a reality quicker than you think. Your home is probably worth more than ever before. Learn more and get pre-approved at thehomeloanexpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
O'Reilly.
Don't risk getting stranded with a bad battery. Our professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery does need to be replaced, we'll help you find the best battery for your vehicle and your budget. Don't wait until your battery is dead. Get it tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's Johnny for Race Trash Service, the best in waste disposal and recycling. RaceTrash.com. Get signed up for the best today, but also if you're looking for a new career as a driver, a great job opportunity is right there for you for a great company that's been family operated since the 1960s. Great pay, incredible benefits for drivers and non-drivers. So the best in recycling and waste disposal for everybody, including you, and a new career as a driver or a non-driver at a great company. Sign up today at racetrash.com.
Hubler has it. Savings. Hubler has it. Choices.
Hubler really does have it all. All of our pre-owned vehicles are Hubler Q certified, which include a 128-point vehicle inspection, a free Carfax vehicle history report, and 2 warranties. A 2-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, and a 30-day, 1,000-mile comprehensive warranty. Visit any of our 13 locations today, or click drivehubler.com.
Hubler has it all.
What's happening with The Fan? Join JMV at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan this Thursday at Twin Peaks for JMV's live broadcast. We'll be passing out swag and talking all things football as we head into training camp. And who doesn't like ice cold beer and great food? So come on out and see us, talk about the Colts, raise a mug, and join in all the fun from 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
For more info, click on 1075thefan.com.
Hey, it's JMV for the absolute best water. That is Connecticut water. And I wanted to remind you of this, too, that Connecticut services all makes and models and will provide a free inspection for your existing unit. Also, you mentioned you heard it right here with me, and you can receive 25% off a new Connecticut system that is installed in the month of July. Finally, you're going to get the best water possible, and that is Connecticut. The 2 Indy locations are online right now, ConnecticutIndy.com.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WIBC HD2 W298BB, WIBC HD3 W228CX, Indianapolis. The Colts open the preseason in Buffalo as they take on the Bills. Coverage next Saturday at 1 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
Hey. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, so Sam, who is in for Kyle, is letting Elijah, also known as Jebediah, take over the board over here. So any miscues, any foul-ups, any foobarish works of radio would all be blamed on Elijah from Martinsville right here. So just be ready. Do not blame it on me. You blame it on Elijah. Greg Rakestraw a little bit earlier, podcast 1075thefan.com. Jonathan Taylor from yesterday was absolutely spectacular. That podcast is up there as well, 1075thefan.com. Inside the lounge via YouTube Live, conversation is going. Apparently, I didn't notice. I dropped a by virtue of for the first time in a year. Remember we did that contest where I promised I wouldn't say it, and then I did, and I had to give somebody something. That used to be what is called a crutch. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you guys a homework assignment. You guys up for it? Not even necessarily those inside the lounge via YouTube Live. But I mean, everybody out there listening. I want you, and you can do this for me too if you want, but I want you to listen to the station nonstop and then report back to me after a couple of days and tell me, give me the crutches for all the hosts. I want to know the crutches. And what a crutch is in radio terms, it's something like me saying by virtue of all the time. Like that. And then report back to me and tell me the information that you have gathered. See, look what you guys do to me right here. You get me to do a contest regarding by virtue of. You got me to change my hairstyle because you called me Fat Dracula. Look what you've done to me. Sound like a country song, an urban cowboy right now. Look what you've done to me. Yeah, but find it, report back to me. Yeah, I saw that Tim Patrick, who, by all reports in the Bronco training camp, was getting really comfortable with Russell Wilson. He, of the Broncos wide receiving core, suffered a torn ACL today. And I don't care what happens in camp. The offense can stink and have to run gassers. The defense can look great or vice versa. That's what you don't want. That's what you stay away from. Oh, Brett Wampler's already in with the crutches of the fan. Crutches of the fan. You don't even listen. If you listen to other shows, go ahead and report back to them, too. I give you free reign, much like the JMV takeover. Free reign to do whatever you want. Report back to everybody. And say, you do say this all the time. That's a good, I think it's a good exercise for all of us. Thank you, Brett. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. Now, I say that all the time, but there's a reason behind that. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline from The Athletic. He is Zak Keefer joining us. It goes without saying, right, that you can talk about the defense playing well, the offense not playing well, who runs the gassers, who doesn't, how everything looked in camp. But stuff like what happened to the Broncos today, what happened with Ryan Jensen, the Buccaneers last week, that's the stuff you're most thankful for that doesn't happen during training camp.
Yeah, man. And so far, I know it's August 2nd. So far, the Colts have not had that. I was just doing my recap from today, and it's like Quiddy left practice for a couple snaps. It looked like it could be something, and then he stretched it out, worked with the trainers, and was back. So far, the Colts on the injury front look pretty good. We'll see how they are in a week or two. But, no, you're right. I mean, defense won today. Offense might win tomorrow. At the end of the day, that stuff doesn't really matter. The key is to get these guys through without losing any big pieces. And if you go back to last year, 3 days in, Carson Wentz was on the shelf for a month with a broken foot. Quentin Nelson was on the shelf. Frank Reich wasn't even out here because he was dealing with COVID. I mean, it's been a quiet camp so far. Please let it stay like that.
So, Zak Keefer for The Athletics on the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. I'm sure you see all this too. And I have said this, the Colts to me at some point are going to track down a veteran wide receiver. I know that they want to see how this goes right now, but I've said that for the past couple of weeks, and I will stand by that. I just don't happen to know who it is. And then you had somewhat of a rumor kind of pop up with Colts fans today regarding Odell Beckham Jr. I have not heard that name, and here's why. Overall, it wouldn't seem to be time yet. Secondly, that doesn't seem like right now anything that Ballard would be willing to do. And then third, Odell Beckham Jr. won't even be cleared to play until November, and you wouldn't want to sign him now to pay him for doing absolutely nothing. So I'm not dismissing the fact that at some point here they're going to make an addition as a veteran wide receiver. I don't think the time is now, and I haven't heard anything regarding Odell Beckham Jr. How about you?
I think you spelled out my exact thoughts. Now, look, I've been working today, and I haven't heard anything on Odell Beckham Jr. either. That's not to say it won't happen, but I haven't heard anything of substance from the people that I know and I trust. But you just nailed it. Like, he suffered an ACL tear in mid-February during the Super Bowl, and he can play. We all know that. On one end, it doesn't feel like a Chris Ballard move. I am with you on the veteran receiver, and I've been saying that. I've been chirping that on your show for months now, and I thought it would be TY Hilton, but it seems like that has stalled a little bit too. I'm not sure, based on what Chris Ballard said on KB and Query Show yesterday, that I'm not sure TY comes back to anybody. We'll see.
Yeah.
But Beckham doesn't make sense because, like you said, November, December. I mean, why are you going to sign him now if he's not going to play until late November? I mean, he assumingly would be still available. I don't know if he makes a deal with the Rams or not, who he played with last year, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, nobody has gotten hurt yet, so the Colts' impetus to go sign a veteran wide receiver might be a little bit less than it would be in a month or two if somebody goes down. But I'm with you, man. It honestly, if this happens, it would really surprise me.
I will tell you this as well, Zach, that the scenario that I see it happening is this, that this team plays offensively really well, expectations or surpasses them offensively, and then feels that somebody like that might be just a great addition to even raise the bar further offensively with a pass catcher in mind in the later stages of the season, like in November. I can see it then. It just doesn't make a lot of sense with that particular player to me right now.
I agree 100%. They need these reps. These young guys need these reps, and they're starting to play well, and I get it. Today's the first day they were in pads. They've been playing, it's not real football until today, so they want to look good. But Pierce can play. I really think he can, and Doolin has made a little bit of a splash. So if you're siding with the Colts on their approach, which I'm not, I still think they add somebody. I think they need to. The young guys have played well. They have progressed a little bit. Let's see how they do in the preseason games. But I think you're right. If things go well, if they're in position to make a move in January, I think they're going to want to add a piece in October or November to get a guy here. My counter to your point is why Beckham when you've got a franchise legend, a guy who can still play, in TY Hilton, who's in town. Now, I know for a fact that TY has drawn some interest from some other teams to contenders as well. I don't know where those discussions stand at this moment, but he's had interest. I don't know if he's 100% on coming back. I don't know for sure. But if they do make a move late in the year, wouldn't you feel really comfortable if that move was for T.Y. Hilton?
And let me give me my theory regarding T.Y. Hilton right now, too. I don't think he's coming back. I don't think that, and it may be right, it may be also mutual interest, but here's why. He made, $8 million a year ago? I can't see him coming back for what they would want to pay him, which would be much less than $8 million. So I think that they have completely moved on, even if Chris Ballard's not saying it, from T.Y. Hilton. And he made very. I just don't think. I just don't think he would. I don't know if they would even want to offer. Hey, why don't you come back and play for $1 million? I mean, a year ago it took, if you remember, Jim Irsay sweetening the deal to subsequently bring him back in the first place. So I think, again, and I've said this for a while, I think that ship on T.Y. Hilton has sailed, even if they're not telling people that.
I'm buying your theory. I don't think the ship has completely sailed. I think it's still possible. Things would have to change necessarily for that to happen.
Injury-wise, you mean? Injury-wise, something like that?
Yeah, that changes the Colts' desperation. That changes their offer. And I think you're right about the money. T.Y., I don't think he's getting $8 million from anybody. I mean, and look, I've written about how great of a player he was for a long time, but that's not going to happen right now. And we'll see. We'll see if that changes. We'll see if one of these guys go down. I mean, I know everybody out there hates to hear this, but Parris Campbell's having a really nice camp. He can play. He can play in this league. He's got to stay healthy, but he's doing what he can do right now. So does that change things for T.Y. Hilton? It absolutely does. Parris needs to stay healthy. If he doesn't, maybe the Colts' motivation to go get him is a little bit higher, but we'll see. We'll see. But I think by the end of this, there is a veteran receiver added to this roster at some point. I don't think OBJ is the move to make right now.
It's Zak Keefer, the Athletic, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. You mentioned Parris Campbell. Twofold for me regarding Parris Campbell. I just hope from a humanistic side of it that he's able to capture some consistent health. That's one side of it. The other side of it for me is I think he adds a level to this team offensively that they can't and will not replicate. Thus, if he is consistently healthy, I think his skill set gets this team offensively to peak performing. Without it, not so much. That's a lot on the shoulders of a guy that's consistently injured, but that's kind of how I view him, even if we've only seen a short thumbnail sketch in training camp thus far.
Yeah, man, this dude can play. He can play in this league. We saw it in that opener against Jacksonville a couple of years ago. I mean, he had 8 catches for 70 yards and was the best receiver on the field. I get it, but, last year, some of this is just dumb luck. I mean, this guy catches a 50-yard touchdown and the Texans safety falls on his foot and breaks his foot. I mean, that's not necessarily Parris Campbell's fault, but to your point, Parris is really good in the middle of the field. He's really good in the middle of the field. Where is Matt Ryan really accurate? He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league the last couple of years. in the middle of the field. The Colts don't have a stud receiver at tight end. Well, Cox was back today. I haven't seen a lot from Jelani Woods early. I haven't seen a lot from Kylan Granson dating back to the spring, besides a couple drops. I have some serious concerns about tight end, but you can alleviate that with a guy like Parris Campbell who can move really well and find those spots in the zone. And T.Y. Hilton did that to a degree last year from the slot. But if you've got Pierce on one side, and I really think Pierce is going to be the outside receiver alongside Pittman, you move Campbell to that inside slot position, he can really do some damage. And I think Frank Reich is really good at scheming those guys up in the middle of the field with those crossing routes. And with a quarterback who's really good with his timing and his release, it all makes sense. But it's on paper. It's August 2nd, and we haven't gotten to the point where the games really matter. So this is all just talk at this point, and no one knows this more than Parris Campbell. He's got to do it when it matters. He's got to stay healthy, and this is his last chance. And honestly, if I take the reporter hat off, I'm rooting like hell for this guy because he's a good kid, and he's had some really bad luck, and he's handled it like a pro. And I think he can play as well, and he'd help this team a lot. It'd be a great story, but he's got to do it when September gets here.
Zak Keefer's with us. I want to double back to another point. I'm going to make a point for you regarding T.Y. Hilton. And I think Kevin Bowen has made this point too, so I'll give him full credit for it. He has suggested that because of the way this offense is going to go with the quicker rhythm stuff, like what we saw 2 years ago with Phillip Rivers when T.Y. Hilton caught 56 balls for, over 750 yards in that particular season, that it would benefit him and make him much better than what we saw his connection that he had a year ago with Carson Wentz. Now, while that could be true, I would also make this argument. They had a guy here and let him go to Philadelphia that was the second leading receiver here a year ago and also had 44 catches and over 620 yards in receiving while here with Phillip Rivers too. So I don't know if T.Y. matters in terms of quick rhythm. You know what I mean? I don't know if that, although that to me is true, I don't know if it matters with this group because outside of injury, I just simply think that ship has sailed.
That's totally fair. And give me the quick rhythm receiver. Like, give me a healthy Parris Campbell over T.Y. Hilton right now at this stage of his career. Like, T.Y. and Carson, they didn't have chemistry. Like, they were not like a 1-2 punch like Rivers and T.Y. was the year before, or going back to whoever the quarterback you're talking about before that, because there have been so many. Like, I'm totally with you on that, and we'll just have to see. Like, we'll just have to see if, like, the thing is, and I was talking about this with Mike Chappell today, the guy who's covered the Colts for 40 years, like, they just need, like, 3 things to go right for this receiver core to be enough. Like, that's a lot. Like, it never goes like that. It never goes to plan. They need Doolin to step up and be a deep threat. They need Campbell to step up and stay healthy. They need Pittman to stay healthy because if he doesn't, what the hell does that group look like? They need Strawn to come back. Like, that's just a lot to ask of this group, and there's so many question marks already. It just makes you think, like, wouldn't adding somebody else make you feel a little bit better? Wouldn't make you sleep better at night? And like Chap said, if they're talking about this in December and January and Chris Ballard is saying, I'm just kicking myself for not adding another receiver, that's a bad look because they've been there before with this same position, and you've talked about it, and it just makes you think, how many times are they going to roll the dice at that position and not solidify it before the season starts? We'll see, but a lot has to go right for that position to be what the Colts want it to be when the games start to matter.
With that in mind, people asked me this morning, and I waited to answer it until I got on the show. What would it take for, because this time of year you get all these, which head coach, which general manager is on the hot seat or the bubble. Nobody right now, either head coach or general manager, Ballard or Reich, nobody's on the hot seat or the bubble right now. But my thought is, while Ballard will remain off of it regardless, Frank Reich, his team could play him onto it with not living up to expectations, i.e. winning the AFC South, or being bad and embarrassing in that combination somewhere to the effect that we saw at the end of this past season. Those aspects of this season would have him being played on to a bubble for sure. I think Ballard is absolutely safe moving forward, but Reich, where he's safe right now, depends on how this team plays and whether or not they reach expectations or, as they did at the end of last regular season, embarrass the owner.
Yeah, I could see that to a small degree. Maybe the seat warming a little bit, outside of a catastrophic collapse. But then again, what was Jacksonville? I mean, that was a historic collapse, and Jim Irsay called it exactly that. You don't get to do that twice and keep your job, right? So I think the expectations are really clear. I think the door is open. They just need to step through it. And they haven't done that in a long time. I mean, I think Jim Irsay absolutely expects a home playoff game this year. These are my words. These are not Jim Irsay's words, but you know how Jim thinks and talks. I mean, he wants Super Bowl this year, right? He doesn't think about winning the playoff game, but they haven't hosted a playoff game since 2014 against the Bengals. I mean, that was like a lifetime ago. And he wants that. And how do you get a playoff game at home? You win the frickin' division, and they haven't done that since 2014. And I know that bothers Frank Reich. And I know that bothers Chris Ballard. That's where this needs to end this year in terms of the regular season. Like, they need to be hosting an AFC championship, they need to be the AFC South champs this year. With the way that Tennessee took a little bit of a step back, although I'm not discounting them because Vrabel is that good, in my opinion. Jim Irsay called his scouts and his coaches into an office last year in the middle of the season and destroyed them because they had lost to Tennessee twice. Like, that gets under his skin like you wouldn't believe. And I haven't even gotten to Jacksonville and the way they lost the season ender last year. But really, for Irsay, it's about the AFC South, and it's about hosting a home playoff game and winning that playoff game, and then see where you go, whether you're going to Denver and Russell Wilson, Cincinnati and Joe Burrow, Herbert. Like, there's so many great quarterbacks in the AFC. It's going to be a crapshoot once you get into that level of the playoffs. But Jim Irsay expects his team to be playing in the middle of January after hosting a playoff game, after winning the division. I really think that's the standard right now. And if this team comes short of that, there's going to be questions on why. And I think the Carson Wentz experiment is something Frank Reich needs to get over in terms of he needs to prove that he can make it work with Matt Ryan, because he put all his faith in Carson, and that busted at the end of last season. And I don't think Jim Irsay's forgotten about that.
Well, there's no way. I can absolutely guarantee
He'll
it.
never forget about that.
I absolutely guarantee it. There's no way he's forgotten about that. I mean, Frank Reich, you have to live up to expectations, or that will be problematic, certainly at the end of this year. Anyway, that's further down the road. Zak Keefer of The Athletic is with us. Mike Strawn's situation. Healthy, one thing, just up to being able to be active anytime in the near future. Is that a pipe dream, or is that realistic at some point?
Man, I'm leaning more towards the former than the latter. I mean, he's on the sideline, he's standing there, but if the timetable is the end of training camp, does he make the 53? Do you sneak him on the practice squad? Can you? Do you put him on PUP? I mean, look, this guy's missing really, really valuable reps right now. And these guys, Campbell and Doolin and QT, are passing him on the depth chart. And the other thing with Strawn, you love his size, you love his ability. He really did make a lot of plays last year in camp. He doesn't play special teams. And he played some games last year early, but by the middle of the season, he was an inactive guy every week. And if you don't play special teams and you're a young receiver, not named Michael Pittman, like, that hurts you, man. That's how Doolin got his job here with special teams. That's how Zach Pascal got his job here as a receiver, through special teams. And Strawn doesn't do that. So this dude needs to get back as fast as he possibly can, and he needs to produce, because this is the time of year when guys like that prove they deserve a spot on the team, like he did last year. But this knee injury is certainly not helping his timing right now.
All right. The other thing I was going to ask, too, it looked like Dennis Kelly got dinged up a little bit, too, and I'm assuming, who knows how this is going to play out. Will that, you think, affect his spot on this team as a backup along that offensive line ultimately, or does he get around that and they're still looking for him in that capacity this season?
I think it's fairly minor from what I heard early. I think he'll miss a little bit of time. I still think he's a really valuable swing tackle. But look, man, like, I get this question every day. Like, how's Pryor look? How's Raymond look? How's the off? Like, I can't tell. Like, you can tell a little bit in one-on-ones, but I'm not judging this offensive line until we see them in the preseason, and even that is still the preseason. You don't get a real feel for how good the line play is until they play the games that matter, because it's not real football, even if they're in pads today, and it's a little bit better than than just jerseys, but it's just not real. And I don't think Pryor's going to lose his job to Rayman because of that. Like, I just think you're going to get too much good from Pryor so far in this modified setting to really lose your job. But we'll see. But I think Kelly is a sneaky good signing as long as he gets back healthy relatively soon.
Well, I'm assuming that Pryor's not getting worked over like Tevy was this time last year, correct?
No, I would have told you about that, man. I would have let you know, because that was like, they can't play this guy. Like, Ben Banigou was owning him every day.
What do you think with the proposition of Eric Fisher coming back and going with Davenport and Tevy? What situation do you like better? What they possibly have and think they have in Matt Pryor, or what you thought they had sitting there this time last year, Zach?
That's a good question. And I'm going to give you my answer, and it's going to be this year, and here's why. The quarterback. And that's not a shot necessarily at the guys last year, but Davenport struggled. Tevy was terrible every day in camp, and we didn't see Fisher until September. And Fisher was okay in spots. He was better against the run. But some of Fisher's worst snaps are partially on Carson Wentz. And that's the reality of when you have a quarterback who holds onto the ball. And ask the people high up in the Colts building, and they know that. Carson made it harder on his offensive line at certain times. Now, you didn't have me on this show to talk about Carson Wentz, and I understand that. Pryor's still a question mark. He absolutely is. But I really like the Kelly signing, and they really like Rayman. Like, I know he's a young football player. He's not a young dude, but he's young in his football career, and he started out as tight end. He's only played, I think, 18 games at left tackle. But he's a hoss, man. He's a big dude, and he's a smart kid, and they really feel like he could be the guy. So I think Pryor's the guy week one. And I think Rayman, and having that insurance there of, like, a really high draft pick, and I count first, second, third rounders as guys that should be starting by year 2 or 3. Like, I think that helps you insurance-wise when you get into the season and you see some of these elite pass rushers. And think about this. I mean, Pryor's going against Ngakoue every day. And Ngakoue practices like a man possessed. I mean, he goes full speed every snap. And Rayman is seeing Ngakoue too, and that's going to help them. So as we move into camp and the Lions come in and their top draft pick, goes against those guys, we'll get another sense. But I like it this year because I do trust Matt Ryan to get the ball out quicker a little bit more, and I think that matters a lot more than people think when it comes to left tackle.
And what a year ago was, I think really did was a thumbnail sketch of the Colts injury situations over the years. Tyquan Lewis arguably made the best play of his career and then blew out his knee on that same play. How do they view him rotationally along that defensive line? Tyquan Lewis and then Odengbo as well. Do they feel like they have a great deal to choose from as far as rotationally speaking, depth-wise?
Yeah, that's why they signed Tyquan in the offseason. I mean, they went out and signed him, and they didn't have to because they think he's a really good depth piece, and he's a versatile player. And one of the spots Chris Ballard is really excited to watch in this camp, and this surprised me, is depth along the defensive line, especially behind Buckner and Grover. Like, those spots need to be filled. And Tyquan's coming back from the knee, but he's a good player. And, I mean, that's just, like, you talk about bad luck with Parris Campbell. Like, Tyquan Lewis makes that interception. They're about, I want to say they're up 17-0, and they're about to go up 20 or 24-0 on the Titans. That win changes the season.
It does.
Maybe Jim Irsay doesn't call his scouts and coaches in and rip them up and down for the loss. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that happens in a season. And Tyquan, no contact injury, shreds his knee. They like him. I haven't seen much from Dio yet. I mean, you see him on the field, and it's staggering how big this dude is. I mean, he's as big as Buckner, but he needs to start earning it, and we'll see a little bit more as they ramp up these contact, full padded practices. But, Kwity Paye has looked better so far for me. He was flashing already. And I mean, the first snap today, the first snap in 11-on-11, Buckner and Yannick Ngakoue were in the backfield ready to sack Matt Ryan. So that's a little bit different, having one of those elite edge rushers in Ngakoue there.
You mentioned Kylan Granson a little bit earlier. Mo Alley Cox, certainly the tight end room and a part of the pass-catching blocking ability. Where does Jelani Woods play into all this from what you've seen so far?
Yeah, man, I don't love the tight ends right now. I'll be honest. Like, I know it's early, but I just don't love this position group maybe as much as Chris Ballard does. I think they're going to miss a lot more than people realize without Jack Doyle. Like, Doyle wasn't flashy, but look at all those runs that Jonathan Taylor had last year. Like, half of them, there was a steal block from 84. Like, Doyle did all that stuff. And Mo's a great blocker, and he's huge, and he's got good hands. But it's different when you're the number one. And so you asked about Jelani Woods. Like, haven't seen much from him in camp. Like, have not seen a lot from him. I know it's a lot to make that jump. And you know, there was a route today that he screwed up in the end zone. I'm pretty sure he screwed it up. And Matt Ryan went straight to Clayton Adams, the tight ends coach, and said, here's what he did. I mean, I'm guessing, but it was very obvious. Like, he's like, here's what this kid did wrong. You need to fix this. So, one, Matt Ryan is on these guys. And two, you know, it's a weekend. We haven't seen a lot from Woods yet. I think Ogletree might be ahead of him. But we've got a lot to figure out there. But, you know, it's going to be a bigger challenge for Mo being the number one. It's going to be a bigger challenge for whoever the heck the number two is, because Granson hasn't done a whole lot in my eyes either, and he's not a blocker. So that's a position that Frank Reich can really take advantage of if he's got a good tight end, like a move tight end like he had with Ebron a couple of years ago. But right now, I'm just not sure they have that.
Zak Keefer for the Athletics on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What are you writing about from what you saw today in the first day of pads?
A little bit of everything. Some telling moments from Jonathan Taylor and Matt Ryan. Like, Ryan's just different. Like, I was talking to a player last week, and I was like, what's it like so far? And this is an offensive player, and he said it's night and day from last year. I think that's a good thing. I like Alec Pierce, and one thing I noticed today, and I'll let you go in a minute, is Alec Pierce lined up against Stephon Gilmore almost every snap in the first half hour of practice, like every single snap. And Pierce hardly caught anything because Gilmore was all over him. That's going to be really good for the rookie. Really good. Gilmore is never out of position. He's as good as advertised so far, and I think that's going to be really good. You think of Alec Pierce, who did he see every day in practice at Cincinnati? He played against Sauce Gardner, who was the number 4 overall pick. And early on in his training camp, his first NFL camp, he's going against a guy who 2 years ago was the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. So I'm buying Pierce, and I'm really buying what the Colts are doing, having Gilmore on him a lot early. That's going to make him better down the line.
Certainly, if there's something I've been excited about more than anything else this offseason is what they're doing defensively, and most of my excitement's been pointed at Ngakoue, but there's been a lot said about the rookie from Maryland, Nick Cross, at safety, and I know it's really early in this process here, but do you have any comparisons for those that haven't been out to camp to see him play?
I'm not going to give the comparison that Jim Irsay gave. I'm not doing the Bob Sanders thing because I watched Bob Sanders, and there's nobody that's probably ever played the game quite like that. Cross is good, man. He's raw, he's young, but he moves with an athleticism that stands out. And he made a play. He made an interception that he tipped to himself on the first or second snap of 7-on-7 last week against Matt Ryan that was like, whoa, okay. So the first time we saw Darius Leonard a couple years ago intercepted Andrew Luck on a play that made you think, this guy can play. Cross could be the starter at strong safety come week 1. Like, I think it's possible. Rodney McLeod is probably the other candidate. He's coming back from an injury and played a little bit more today, but you got Blackman on one end and you got Cross on the other. That's a ton of athleticism in Gus Bradley's scheme. Cross is just 20 years old, but they moved up in the draft to get him because they really like him. They thought he would have been a first-round pick next year. He's a guy that's been with the one since he got here in the spring, and that's not a small thing.
Zak Keefer for the Athletic on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Man, I appreciate that, and we'll do it again relatively soon. Enjoy your time up in Westfield at camp.
All right, we'll catch up soon. Thanks, man.
You got it, buddy. Zak Keefer of the Athletic on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I am curious, how do you view this? And again, camp, it kind of goes this way. And how he described Alec Pierce versus Stephon Gilmore. Do you view the fact that Alec Pierce has been covered up like a blanket exclusively by Gilmore today, for example, as, hey, good, that's going to be good for him and his future? Or do you view it as, how can this young guy not get a little bit of space against this, 31-year-old cornerback? How do you view that? See, these are the things in how you view practice at camp. Like today, offense doesn't play well, but the defense did. How do you view that? That and the fan crutches. Send them to all of us at all times. It'll make us all better, I promise. You guys listen all the time. You would know. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Back with you next.
Nestled on 175 wooded acres near the picturesque town of Zionsville, Golf Club of Indiana boasts 15 water holes, 72 bunkers, and championship tees of more than 7,000 yards. Upon visiting the facility, Jack Nicklaus stated, Golf Club of Indiana is as nice a facility as I've seen to come out and play daily fee golf. Golf Club of Indiana, just 20 minutes from Indianapolis International Airport and from beautiful downtown Indianapolis. Call us at 769-6388 to reserve your tee time today.
If you suffer from joint pain, from arthritis, or an injury, you know the traditional treatments. Pain meds and steroids, and then surgery. I'm Kevin Bowen, and I've got some great news about a better way right here in Indianapolis from local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, and they have offices in Eagle Creek and Greenwood, and they are advanced, exciting, a natural alternative that can give you lasting relief using your own body's healing power. Listen, steroid shots are toxic to your joints, pain meds are addictive, and nobody wants to go under the knife. It's 2022. These old ways are out, and the new ways are here in Indy. Regenerative medicine that can restore and repair damaged joint tissue using the natural biologics. No drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. So give QC Kinetics a call for a free consultation. 463-235-7160. Again, locations in Eagle Creek and Greenwood. QC Kinetics, 463-235-7160.
Hey, it's John here for the best game day experience possible. It's more than just the game. Of course you want your team, in this case the Colts, to win, but hey, it's about the overall game day experience, and it can't be at its best without my friends at bullseyeeventgroup.com. The Colts VIP tailgate, presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. It's all you can eat. It's all you can drink right across Capitol Avenue, right across Capitol from Lucas Oil Stadium. All you can eat, all you can drink. You've got DJ Skids working on the wheels of steel, which is outstanding. Great entertainment. I'm telling you, this is what makes the game day experience the best it can be. So here's what you can do with bullseyeeventgroup.com. You can get those Colts VIP tailgate passes and then combo that up with tickets to the game. There is your game day experience with the absolute best. My friend Kyle Cadet, bullseyeeventgroup.com. Log on today and make sure you're all about every Colts home game this season with the best game day experience. That's bullseyeeventgroup.com.
Big Red Liquors, big gas giveaway. This month, Big Red Liquors is giving away 4 $500 gas cards. Yes, you could win a $500 gas card. Stop in at any Big Red Liquors to enter. It's free. Must be 21 to enter. No purchase necessary.
What's happening with The Fan? Join JMV and 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan this Thursday at Twin Peaks for JMV's live broadcast. We'll be passing out swag and talking all things football as we head into training camp. And who doesn't like ice-cold beer and great food? So come on out and see us, talk about the Colts, raise a mug, and join in all the fun from 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
For more info, click on 1075thefan.com.
Want to explore using Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits to heat and cool your home or business? Learn more at absolutecomfort.org. That's absolutecomfort.org.
At thehomeloanexpert.com, our rates are over a quarter point lower than the national average. Visit thehomeloanexpert.com. NMLS number 1326241.
It's time for camp. No, not that camp. We're talking Colts training camp.
Kevin Bowen here at Grand Park. Colts back to work.
So now we can ask the big question.
Consistently much better this year.
The wide receiver core is a concern.
They would have liked to have seen some sort of veteran move there.
The Colts have just disregarded.
The NFL season countdown is underway. It's Colts Camp.
42 ISO X Flash. I want
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Are you kidding? You think I'd join this crummy snobatorium? But this whole place sucks. That's right, it sucks.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Leave this up just for a second, Sam. We are gathered here today to chill on your ride home. Smoothing it out with Herb Alpert and Rise right here. We're all smooth. Sam, do you know what 90s song sampled Herb Alpert and rise?
No, off the top of my head, it's probably gonna be one of those. When you say it, I'll get it.
Hypnotize.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Turn it back up one more time. This is so good. Everybody's feeling good. Wes Reynolds chimes in here. Yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about this, JMV? That is Jake Gyllenhaal. I call him Gyllenhaal. Some call him Gyllenhaal. I say Gyllenhaal. Will step in for the late Patrick Swayze in a new Roadhouse remake from the director of Edge of Tomorrow. What in the hell is Edge of Tomorrow? Should I know this? Edge. Let me Google Edge of Tomorrow. I remember Search for Tomorrow back in the day was a soap opera. Edge of Tomorrow. That's a 19. Come on, dude. A 2014 American science fiction action film. Is it Doug Liman or Doug Lehman is the director of that? Here's what I would tell you, Wes. I think that it's going to be all right because I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I used to not like him or his sister Maggie, but I've come to like both of them now. I've crossed that bridge into liking the family Gyllenhaal. So I am all for it. I think there's anybody out there in acting that can take over that incredible prospect and live up to the greatness that the late Patrick Swayze provided cinematically for all of us in one of the greatest films of all time. If one actor out there can do that, Jake Gyllenhaal can. I mean, think about what you have to do. You got to hit your lines. Pain don't hurt. You got to grab your dossier, your folder full of injuries. You got to be able to make clean stitches on knife wounds on your shoulder. You got to pull Emmett out of a burning house. You've got to try to find the right radio station before you start heeing and sheeing with Kelly Lynch. You got to smoke cigarettes nude on a blanket out on the roof of a barn. I mean, there's a lot going on here, everybody. There is a lot to live up to with the cinematic greatness that is Roadhouse. I think Jake Gyllenhaal can. He officially gets the JMV seal of approval to go ahead and remake the greatness of Roadhouse. Can I buy you guys a drink? I guess not. I think he's got it. Bob's at 239-1070. Bob, jump on here. How are you?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Bob, I could not be better.
Buddy Bob that knows of a White Ranger pickup in the Bargersville area.
Oh, well, I'll be doing a little bit of that later on tonight about 9 o'clock.
Yeah. So is that guy still on four wheels in that White Ranger pickup truck? I haven't seen him forever.
I don't know. Go ahead, Bob. Oh, no, you're talking about Rusty.
There you go.
Huh?
There you go. You turned the brain on there,
I'm sorry. I was trying to think about where you're talking. Well, I mean, I was talking about Roadhouse, and I brought you on, and it said Colts. I didn't think you were going to talk about mole removal. My bad.
Well, I'm going to talk about Colts, too, because...
Wait, but Rusty, I believe, is still around. I just don't think... He got too busy because I used to talk about him all the time, and I loved... You know how you paid Rusty for his mole removal?
Yeah, with sweet corn.
No, you would.
With sweet corn.
You would. Whoa, yes. And by the way, I got some. Shout out to Steve Duke, who dropped off a bunch of sweet corn on my front porch a couple of days ago. I love the Duke family down there. Shout out to Steve for doing that.
Is that the one down on Trafalgar there on the curb?
Oh, well, I think the Dukes own a lot of farmland around there, certainly, and a lot of housing additions, and they're great builders, a great family, Mike Duke being one, and Steve Duke, I think, takes care of most of the farming, and he normally, this time of year, drops off a lot of sweet corn to me, and he did that again.
Oh, I'm telling you, those wagons down there on past, the school down there, that's good stuff.
They were crop dusting on Sunday. I don't know if you saw it or not down there. I got crop dusted myself. They was right over my house. I was crop dusted.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, what's your, because you probably said it, I just haven't heard you. What's your over and under on the Colts this year?
I think that you got to, I think it's going to be tough. I said 10 or 11, so I'd say 10.5, and you've got to hit the over on this. It's going to be hard, though. That's a tough schedule.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, good talking with you, man. I haven't talked with you for a while.
Hey, right back at you, Bob. You call in anytime.
Okay, see you later, buddy.
You got it, man. See, I didn't know that, Chris, about Rusty. I loved Rusty. Awesome, dude. Awesome. Yeah, they literally crop dusted over my house. That's some skilled flying being done right there, too. Sam, you wanted to talk?
Oh, I just wanted to say, since we brought up over-unders on Indy teams, Pacers is currently at 25.5 games from Vegas.
Yeah, they are, by the way, the worst NBA team. That's what expected.
They have the worst over-under, yeah. But that, I believe, is people coming misguided with the idea that the Pacers are just going to go tank mode right away.
They can get that French guy, Victor Manawamba.
I think the Pacers come out firing to start. I think they really make a go of it this season.
Victor Gyllenhaal. Yeah, go get it. Hey, as long as you stay excited about it, that's good. I hope you hang in with it. But yeah, the worst prediction for wins in the NBA this year would be the Pacers, at least as of right now with the Vegas odds. Oh, I love you guys are sending in all these crutches. That is so outstanding. And again, crutches in radio terms would be stuff like, remember a year ago when I kept bringing up and I can't remember it now. When I short term here, my short term is whack. Long term is great. Short term is just whack. But crutches are things that the host will say often. And I got called out by you. I think it was folks inside the lounge about stuff that I would say often, crutches. And I said, listen, I'll give you guys something if I say it again before the end of the show. I think I ended up saying it again before the end of the show. But I hadn't said it since, and I brought it back today. So I brought up, okay, go through all these shows because you listen all the time. Endlessly listen as you normally do. And tell all of us what our crutches are so we can fix them. I think that is absolutely outstanding. No, Odin Meat Locker is not a crutch of mine. But you guys are coming up with some incredible crutches by virtue of was. And you guys fixed that. You guys fixed me up real good. Russ chimes in with this. There will always only be one Brad Wesley. The guy brought J.C. Penney to town. It's true. The photo, Matt, the J.C. Penney, they're all here because of me. Crutches. And I mean not just for me, but for everybody. It'll make us all a lot better. I think everybody will thoroughly understand that. You can drop them in on the morning show, do it afternoon, between 3 and 6. Let me know. All right, quick break. We'll come back for a final time. Zak Keefer, podcast1075thefan.com. Greg Rakestraw was also on here. We're going to be at Twin Peaks on Thursday. I have heard, somebody had told me it is Bikini Week. I think it was Daryl. Bikini Week at Twin Peaks. Thursday is where we're going to be beginning at 3 o'clock with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Follow The Fan on social media. The Fan is on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Like and follow The Fan to stay up to date on all of our giveaways and all things sports.
This is a call to the self-starters, to the self-made, and the self-sufficient. It's time to declare a new kind of independence. Because Edelman Financial Engines is here to provide tailored investment solutions for your kind of wealthy. You should expect more from your wealth advisors. Our investment management approach is based on Nobel Prize-winning research, and our planners don't sell products to earn commissions. And because we're here for those who question the answers, we model more than 38,000 securities, so we can better stress test your portfolio through thousands of scenarios. So no matter where you're going next, See what we can build for you. Call 888-899-4450. That's 888-899-4450. Or visit efewealthplanners.com to get your complimentary financial plan. Edelman Financial Engines. Built for those who built themselves.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest. The crew at LD Smith Plumbing has deep roots in Indiana. Unfortunately, most of the trees around here have deep roots too. And if it isn't roots in your pipes, it's a water heater ruined by sediment. No matter the plumbing problem, we'll show water who's boss. So if you need a new water heater, call us today and save up to $300 on a tankless water heater or $150 on a storage water heater.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
It's the granddaddy of all late model stock car races as the 52nd World 100 comes to the world-famous Eldora Speedway September 10th. Race fans make it your fall race vacation destination September 7th through the 10th with 4 nights of great racing. Wednesday, it's the exciting $128,000 to win late model Dream. Thursday and Friday feature 2 big nights of intense door-to-door racing. Then Saturday, it's the race every driver wants to win, the World 100. Don't wait. Buy your tickets now. Go to EldoraSpeedway.com for complete event info and ticket purchases.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. The housing market is starting to cool and mortgage interest rates have come down. Now is the perfect time to get into the home of your dreams. If you've been thinking about buying a home, let's talk. We can answer all of your questions and get you pre-approved the day you call in. And with our 10-day closing guarantee, your offer is sure to stand out. Learn more and get pre-approved today at thehomeloanexpert.com. Home of the 10-day closing guarantee. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks just added a new dish to their menus, the Chicken Street Corn Salad. The new addition features iceberg lettuce, charred corn, lentils, billionaire's bacon, roasted jalapenos, and tortilla strips with creamy lime vinaigrette. Twin Peaks eats, drinks, scenic views.
Wednesday on Kevin and Query, we are recapping the first full padded practice at Grand Park. Stephen Holder will join us and Brian F. as well. Join us 7 a.m.
The Ride with JMV.
It takes him a second to get on the stool because he's under 5 feet tall.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, the great Michael McDonald right there, everybody. The same again. Oh, you guys are talking about Diane Lane inside the lounge via YouTube Live. You officially have my attention. Well done. Oh, yes, she was in Six Pack. And The Outsiders. Six Pack. Yeah. Oh, you got to love that. Lounge YouTube Live's been outstanding today. Zak Keefer of The Athletic, we went over a lot. Now, I want to give credit where credit is due because this may end up happening. I'm just telling you, as I started the show, I had not heard anything of it regarding the Odell Beckham Jr. rumor. I'm going to double back and find out where this started just to make sure where these folks give credit. I'm not doing it because if it goes wrong, people are going to be all over them, but I do want to give credit where credit is due. By the way, the Padres today, while I'm looking for this, Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Brandon Drury, that is quite the offensive haul for the Padres this afternoon at the trade deadline. You talk about going for it. There is no doubt they're going for it in a big way. All right, where are we going to find this here? All right, I first got this from the King of the Colts, which is I think a podcast affiliated with Fansided. And then a person named Destin Adams also followed that up, it's called the bluestable.com, and they have a podcast regarding the Colts at Fansided. And the rumor was, just got a text from a reliable source saying that Odell Beckham Jr. to the Colts is heating up. I'm working to confirm. The thing of it is, regarding Odell Beckham Jr., the Colts are going to add a veteran wide receiver at some point. I would just be shocked if they do it right now, considering a couple of things. One is Odell Beckham Jr., isn't healthy and won't be healthy until November. So you bring him now, you sign him, and then you got to pay him to do nothing until November. Beyond the fact that that's not what normally Chris Ballard does, I can't. To me, if there's going to be a situation where Odell Beckham Jr. were to land here, this is just hypothetical. To me, that would be you get to November, late October, whatever. He's about ready to come back. He's not signed someplace else yet, maybe even a tad earlier. But your offense is clicking, you're playing well, and you view your pass catchers as being, one more away. Everything is working offensively. Passing game is better than advertised, but you still think like maybe you're one away. So you go for that veteran presence. And as I've been told, I don't think that veteran presence at all will be TY Hilton. Zach seems to think that there's still an opportunity. Maybe there would be with injury. I just think, again, as I've mentioned, that ship has sailed. That said, if you get at that portion of the season and you think that you're the type of a veteran like that away from making your wide receiving core, your pass catchers that much better, that is the scenario in which I see it. I just don't see it right now. To me, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. I'm not suggesting that that's wrong. It may be absolutely proven to be accurate, but I certainly haven't heard it. I've just heard veteran wide receiver at some point. Make no mistake that they are looking. They may not tell. Go back to Julio Jones of last week. Chris Ballard said that they didn't have discussions. Yeah, they didn't have discussions, but did they look? Were they observing? Or as I mentioned, were they eyeballing? Yes. Yes. There are no discussions going on. But again, with that position, that situation, with most of what goes on with your football team, you're always looking. And it certainly didn't surprise me that they didn't have any interest in signing Julio Jones for $8 million for a year. That also, to me, comes with the territory with T.Y. Hilton. He made $8 million a year ago. The owner had to jump in and kind of sweeten the deal to get him to stay, to get to that point. So what are you going to pay him? Even if he doesn't play in camp, and part of it is not wanting to go through camp, how much are you going to pay him? You went from $8 million in a swan song season here to $1 million? Is he going to do that? Does he want to do that? Do they want to do that? I just don't think so. I just don't think that there's that interest there. Now, if somebody gets injured and, you go to something that's really close right here, and parallels can be drawn to how he produced 2 years ago. Again, that was 2 years ago, but 2 years ago with Phillip Rivers and how they want to run things offensively to manufacture production this year. There are certainly similarities there. And certainly you could equate 2 years ago with Phillip Rivers being much better than it was last year with Carson Wentz, now that you have Matt Ryan. But you could said something similar regarding Zach Pascal that they just let walk. Zach Pascal had a, pretty close to a similar season, certainly, as T.Y. Hilton had 2 years ago with Phillip Rivers. And Zach Pascal walked to Philly. So there's your update. Elijah, great job in here today. Not one Fubarish mistake. Oh, Sam, you're always really good. You in here again tomorrow, Sam? Sam's in here tomorrow. Again, our thoughts going out to Kyle and Morgan and their family. Kyle is going to be back, I believe, coming up on Thursday. Zak Keefer of The Athletic, that podcast, 1075thefan.com. Inside the Lounge via YouTube Live, outstanding from you guys today. A thumbs up, Jake Gyllenhaal, a remake of Roadhouse. You officially get the thumbs up approval of the greatest Roadhouse fan in the history of Roadhouse, right here. Greg Rakestraw, too, podcast 1075thefan.com. School starts tomorrow for the kids. Probably yours as well. Be back with you tomorrow at 3. 93.5, 1075 The Fan.
We are at Colts Camp.
Let guys get reacclimated to doing football-specific activities.
We're going to get a real feel